Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
And welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmy Wissman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today on another wild, crazy edition of Crime and Sports. Episode 314. Can you believe that?
Son of a bitch.
That is so goddamn many. Keep pumping them out. And last week, Jason Kidd was insane, obviously, because he's one of those guys that was famous from like the 9th grade on.
And boy, just a Class A dickhead.
Wow, is he just a jackass? We are going to have something completely different today. Completely different. And as always, when we do an overseas episode, we do ask that you find our ignorance charming, because this is a sport we don't know about. There's really no sports in this episode. The sports part of this episode will cover about, 6 minutes probably.
They happen to be involved.
And then the rest is just crazy British street gangsterism, and it's amazing. In his own words, too, weird Britishisms that we don't understand that we can try to figure out. It's so cool. We cannot wait. But before we get to that, thank you for everything that you've done for us, always. Yeah. Thank you for your reviews. They help a lot. 5 stars, whatever app you're listening on, does help us out, drives us up the charts. So if you could do that, that is greatly appreciated. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now, today. First of all, all your merchandise, tons of merch. We got merch coming out your ass over there. So get over there, get your merch. And also tickets to live shows. Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Full slate lined up. First of all, for Small Town Murder, come out and see us for that. August the 12th, we are in San Francisco at Cobb's Comedy Club. 2 shows that night. There will be 2 different shows. So if you want to see both, you're going to see 2 different stories. And then the next night in Sacramento, the 13th of August, there is Crime and Sports Live.
Yes.
And there is a few tickets left. So get those tickets, scoop them up, and get in there before it's all sold out. And let's do it. Let's do it's going to be Daryl Strawberry. So, I mean,
terrific.
You know it's going to be nuts. I mean, come on. The guy's, he's gotten busted. Just say the name of his crimes, and you're like, that's hilarious. So, you know it's going to be good there. Patreon.com/crime and sports. Oh, my goodness. That is where you get all the bonus stuff.
Yes.
And this week there is so much bonus stuff, and every time there's going to be bonus stuff. Every other week you're going to get 2 new episodes without fail. You're going to get everything that Crime and Sports puts out, everything that Small Town Murder bonus puts out, and the entire back catalog of it as well. So much. Over 100 episodes. This week, what you are going to get for your money is, for Crime and Sports, we are going to talk about all of Michael Jordan's scandals. Now,
oh, man.
He's got a bunch. First, there's the gambling stuff. We'll talk about that, obviously, and conspiracy theories behind his dead dad and his basketball retirement in 94. The whole deal we'll talk about. But then also his affairs, his paternity suits, and his amazing divorce settlement that is like mind-bogglingly huge divorce settlement.
So much. Juanita, but congratulations.
When you get hit with paternity suits every single year, that's gonna happen. So not good. And then for Small Town Murders, we're going to do an old favorite here. Haven't done it in about a year. We're going to do small town reviews. Oh, God, that was so much fun last time. I can't wait. Reviews of small towns, and even maybe a couple of weird business reviews from inside that small town, just to find it. It's going to be weird stuff. Patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get all of that, and you'll get a shout out at the end of the show.
Sure.
Jimmy will mispronounce your name terribly. He wants to get it right, I promise you, but he just can't. So he's going to try, though, so do that. And also, if you want to donate over on PayPal and get that shout out, you can do that using our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com. Let's do this, Jimmy. Let's find our asshole of the week here. Here we go. It's a guy, I know you've never heard of him, so I'm not going to say, ever heard of this guy? Stephen Thomas French.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know him.
Yeah.
Posters on your walls as a kid.
Hall of Fame Expos player.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He is in a Hall of Fame, as a matter of fact.
Is he?
Yes. He is more commonly known as Stephen the Devil French.
Oh, what did he do?
And that is not, he's a fighter, but that's not from his fighting, the devil. He has a different fighter name, actually.
Really?
He has 3 different nicknames, this guy, which that should be a crime and sports rule also. We have all the rules, no teenagers in your hit squad, don't get married when things are going bad, don't find religion. One of them should be one nickname only. You can't have more. You can't have 3 nicknames. That's too many, I feel like.
2 throughout your career is fine, I suppose.
Because you could change. You change.
We grow. We turn into different people.
Well, suppose, at first you're like a kid who comes up and you're like, kid so-and-so, or you're like something youthful, but then like you have a tragic car accident, but you work your way back from it. Now you're not kid anymore. You got a big scar on your face. You're limping.
Right.
Now you're like, something that you've come through the flames type of nickname.
Even Tyson went from Kid Dynamite to Iron Mike.
Yeah.
You gotta get better.
It's just different. You got to change up a little bit. So his are nothing to do with age. They're just his different cycles, basically. He's got a ring persona. That's the Warrior. That's Stephen the Warrior Thomas. Or French, I'm sorry. Thomas is his middle name. And then there is his street persona, which is Stephen the Devil French, and that is what pretty much the entire underground of Liverpool knew him as, was the devil. And then later on, he is the fighting preacher. So... And then he goes back to inmate and devil after that. So,
Again, we grow.
We grow. And here we go. Let's grow with Stephen. Here we are.
Yeah.
He's born either October 1st, 1959 or 1960. I can't quite pin it down. One of the two.
Nothing makes me happier than the beginning of the story, not knowing when the fuck
59
somebody entered this world.
I know it's October 1st. I just don't know if it's 59 or 60. It seems he seems to go back and forth on how old he is a couple of times. So, and I will say this as well when we get into it. He's born in Toxteth, Toxeth, Toxic, I guess. Toxic.
That's not good.
Toxteth. It's got like toxic. It sounds like toxic. It's a place in Liverpool in England here.
It's got to be Tozeth, right? There's no way
Toxic.
it's Toxeth.
I don't know, man. It's got a straight X in there, but I guess, I don't know.
It's got to be Tozeth.
I'm going with Toxic.
Nobody's going to call a place called Toxeth.
It's like a shit area too. It's like a real.
And it's a toxic place.
Yeah, so people are going to call it toxic, I assume, no matter what. So, from what I understand, it's like it's a rough place and kind of a poor area. Now, a ton of this, most of this episode, maybe not most, but a good half of this episode is going to come directly from this man's mouth here. Or I don't know if it's sort of his mouth. It was written like a ghostwriter through somebody named Graham Johnson is the credited writer, and it's called The Devil, Britain's Most Feared Underworld Taxman. That's the name of the book.
Wow.
And taxman, you know what a taxman is by any chance in the street?
That's the guy that's the fucking enforcer. That's the guy that comes and gets the money, right?
That's
the collector.
That's the Omar, is what that is. He's essentially an Omar. He's going around taking your shit.
He robs the bad guys.
He robs the bad guys, and you don't fuck with him because they're all afraid of him, and they're all like, "Oh no, where's the devil?" He's
the baddest bad guy.
Yeah, the devil is a whisper among people, just like Omar and the Wires, like this whisper among the street, like, "Oh, Omar coming! Oh shit!" Like everybody would scatter. Omar. Whoa.
Does he have a great whistle song?
I wish he did. See, that's the thing. He needs to pick a nursery rhyme and whistle it, and then
nothing scary than Farmer in the Dell now.
Not when you got a guy with a fucking shotgun coming at you. Yeah, that's terrifying. That guy could be whistling anything. He could be whistling if you like pina coladas, but if he's coming at you looking with a trench coat and a fucking shotgun dangling down off of it, I think you're afraid.
Was a farmer, had a dog and bingo. Oh my God, run!
Oh God! We're about to get caught in the rain. Run! Shit. So we don't know if everything in here is true or not, but from the sound of it, the gist of it is all true. We don't know about the details, but there's no reason to doubt it. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
From
and when a bad man who's everybody knows is a bad man
That's what
has
I mean.
a story, who gives a fuck if it's true or not? If he's saying it, let's just be scared.
That's what I mean. If John Gotti's going to tell you about, a couple of hits, I don't really care if the details are messed up. That's kind of part of it. Part of the psychology is what details is he going to tell me?
Whether
he makes them up or not.
What the fuck did he leave out that makes this so much worse? Because it's worse.
Well, this is so bad. I don't know how it could be worse. Like this is written like a guy who didn't do anything, but had this active imagination. Only I know he did a lot of shit, so I feel like a lot of this might be true. That's the scary part. You're reading this going, this is probably true. That's what's terrifying about this.
Some of it's some OJ shit. Some if I did it, here's how it was done.
No, he just says this is what I did. That's the other thing too. He doesn't give a fuck. This guy. It's wild. It's crazy. We'll get into it. Here we go. So, he said, "I'll give you." Here's a couple paragraphs from the book to open it up. Okay. And this is writing from his current state when he writes the book in 2007. Okay. Quote. You may think that my life is a doddle. What with the luxurious flats in Canary Wharf, the penthouse apartments in Liverpool city centre, 70,000-pound cars, Christmas in the Caribbean, and 5-star hotels in Las Vegas, New York, Florida, and the Indian Ocean. Let me share with you a strand of the rope that gives me the strength and makes me who I am.
Yeah, but I want to know, does he mean 71,000-pound cars or
70,000-pound cars? So cars that cost 70,000 pounds.
Value.
Yeah.
Got it.
Value.
I was like, what the fuck weighs that much?
It's a semi truck with another one on top and then a load of coal sitting on top of that.
That's a semi truck pulling 30 Sherman tanks.
Yep, with a fat guy driving. That's what that is. So, big old fat guy driving.
Big fat guy seatbelted into that bouncy chair.
I'm adding an extra 500 to this whole mess. Rounding it out.
70,000-pound valued cars. Got it.
So cars, all that. That's the. But let me share with
Flash
you
lifestyle.
Let me tell you how I got to here. Quote. From my earliest memory to when I was 15 years old, I was bullied on a daily basis. During that period, I was stabbed with scissors, hit with a poker, lashed with a curtain wire, scalded with hot water, and punched and kicked endlessly.
Jesus Christ.
Good Lord. Lashed with a curtain wire?
Was he in Helsinki?
Where the fuck is happening? What Middle Eastern prison did he spend his childhood years in? Like, what Abu Ghraib facility was this?
Was he in the cell next to John McCain?
I think he was, obviously. Pain became my best friend.
What?
Okay. Well, Pain is my best friend is certainly the title of the show. Best friend. I don't think that's going without it right there. It's got to be something with the devil, but no, Pain is my best friend. That's the quote of the year. Holy shit. Pain.
The devil and his best friend Pain.
And his best friend Pain. But then, when I was 16 years old, my balls dropped and I began to man up.
Hold on. All of that before he was how old?
That was up until he was 15. All this was happening to him, and then at 16 he said, "No more. I will do the bullying." I stopped the bullies with a well-aimed and even better propelled everyday house brick. Yeah, leave me the fuck alone.
Wow.
So he beat somebody with a brick, and which will do it. That'll do it.
That'll turn somebody around.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing, by the way, I love about coming up in a shit area is you really know how to take anything and have it be a weapon. Like growing up, I know tons of kids that just carried hammers around with them.
Yeah.
Just hammers, screwdrivers, things, just everyday things that you find around. That's a good weapon right there. And it is a good weapon. But normal people don't think like that.
Yeah.
They think knives or, whatever.
If you take 1.5 bolts and weld them together, 4 of them, you can make homemade brass knuckle.
Phenomenal. Absolutely. You take like a Phillips head screwdriver, you're like, that grip with the finger, that is fucking, that's nasty, man. As a kid, you think of that shit. So he said at 17, the bullies were back. This time with a concealed blade. A steak knife was homing at me. Was homing in like a missile for my throat in a deceptive and lightning attack. I was unarmed, lying down on my mother's couch, maxing out. A nanosecond somehow became an eon, and I managed to get my left arm between my throat and the Grim Reaper. Very dramatic, this guy.
Was somebody standing over him and stabbing him?
He was just chilling on the couch, on his mother's couch, and somebody just came in out of nowhere and without warning or, any sort of precept, just came in and started stabbing him, attacked him with a knife, a steak knife, as a matter of fact. The blade was violently plunged through my arm, midway between my left wrist and elbow. It pierced my skin, its serrated edge scraping across the bone and completely severing 3 tendons. Jesus Christ.
Oh, damn.
I was left with the use of my left index finger and left thumb only, but I could still make a fist. I weighed around 175 pounds. My throat was not cut, and I had my assailant's murderous intention. So he got away from it, is what he's saying. So then he's
a little worse for wear, though. Can't fucking use his 3 fingers on his hand.
No. This is just the intro to this guy right now. I'm giving you here. So, in the melee that ensued, my bright red blood sprayed my mom's front room, and I knew without being told that I was in a fight for my life. As I subdued my armed assailant with my bare hands, I knew instinctively that I would find myself in this situation many more times.
Why would you know that?
Why would you? This is going to happen often. Like, as you're doing that, it sounds awful, doesn't it? Fuck, I got to get out of here.
Well,
It'll be my Jesus
C'est
Christ.
la vie.
This is my life, I guess. Stab and be stabbed, I suppose. I also, I'm sorry. As my assailant passed into unconsciousness, I also knew, with a heightened, almost primal awareness, that I would always win and never lose a death match.
Did he kill this person?
I suppose he just choked him down, it seems like, from what he said. Choked his ass out.
Feels like you'd probably get away with self-defense if they stabbed you and you murdered them,
I
right?
think so. I mean, but yeah, maybe just left him there in an unconscious pile, kick him out in the yard, and then everybody knows not to fuck with you now. I stabbed him and then he choked me out. That's a pretty rough story. Nobody wants to mess with that guy. So he continues, that was the first attempt on my life. 30 years ago in 1977, and from that day to this, there have been several more attempts to assassinate me. My enemy, and they won't be the last either, my enemies have tried to burn me, melt me with acid, shoot me, or kill me in any way possible. This is my story. They called me the devil. That's how he started. That's your opening to the book.
This Rasputin motherfucker, and that's he is a poet.
This guy is... He's a smart guy. That's the other thing. Yeah. This is not a stupid guy fucking ever. He's a sharp guy. He gets into many different businesses. He knows how to keep a lot of plates spinning. Yeah. A stupid person could not do all the weird things that he's done. But a vicious person you'd have to be as well. That's the problem. So
he's unbelievable already.
It's rough. He describes how he grew up in a rough neighborhood, and a lot of that, he says, is I don't know. This is like our ignorance, because we don't know. We know like American social stuff. You know what I mean? Right. Like we knew, the civil rights movement in the 60s and blah, blah, blah. We know all that stuff. I don't know shit about England's at all. Anything that went on there.
I got to assume
I really don't.
That went along in like the 1800s, because if we started in the 1700s,
are we assuming history now?
I'm assuming. Yeah, I am.
Let's not go there.
I gotta assume
we can't assume
they did
history.
This hundreds of years ago.
This happened in the 1530s, as a matter of fact. It was.
They had to have gotten started before us.
No. I don't know I don't know how their shit works exactly. So all I know is the way he describes it is he said that he's from Liverpool, and growing up in the 60s in Liverpool, the 1960s, not the 1860s, he said that he was as he puts it, the product of a mixed marriage racially. So he said that was more... like it was almost worse to be mixed, the way he put it. Like that was
really
kind of puts you outside of both camps. But
interesting.
The thing that's weird about it is he says, and he really makes a point of saying that in his neighborhood, there was black and white, and everybody that was poor were together against the non-poor. It wasn't a matter of like they didn't fight each other.
Skin.
It was socioeconomic was what it was.
Yep.
We're all here, so I mean, what the fuck are we fighting over exactly?
Right? Who gives a fuck what color we are when we don't have any money?
Poor people should never fight each other because that's really you're just making both of you more poor. That's all you're doing.
Right.
That's really not good. Never fight each other, poor people. That's bad. And rich people go, hey, look at that. They're fighting each other. Good. Now they won't notice what we're doing. So it's don't do that. So anyway, he says that I like this line. When I first decided to help Graham Johnson write this book, well, you'd have to help. It's all your quotes. The whole book is like a book of you speaking. I knew I had a good story inside me, but I also knew I should take advantage of the life experiences of the people I've known throughout my life. 25 years, including 25 years security experience and 30 years as a martial artist. Yeah, that's all good. So, like I said, not sure how much is true, but it's a hell of a tale either way. Let's get into it here. Totally. He calls his mother a flame-haired white woman of Irish immigrant stock and film star looks.
Yeah.
That's how he describes his mom. Yeah. Jolene. His mom's like a 90s. The fuck is her name? God damn it. His mom's like Julianne Moore coming at him.
All right, yeah.
And Boogie Nights.
Not bad.
Yeah. Hopefully not telling him to come inside of her. So
she rocks around.
Yeah, you have to see Boogie Nights to understand that joke. But anyway, he said his dad was West Indian. And he was West Indian and was on the run for killing a man.
Really?
Yeah, that's what he said. So
from India or in
who the fuck? West Indian is not. West Indian is the islands. That's not in India.
Oh,
yeah, he's an
from
island.
the West Indies.
Yeah, West
Got
Indies.
it.
Yeah. So he said that basically that he puts it this way: "Quote: I am the product of the Irish potato famine and the African slave trade." Okay, so that's the way he puts it. He said his dad, Thomas Benjamin French, so his middle name is his dad's name. He's not a junior, but stay tuned. He said he came to the UK in when he was 26 years old in 1955 from Trinidad. I guess a lot of immigrants were coming at that point in time, and he married his mom a year later. So he just got there, and he said that it was pretty quick before he quote, it wasn't long before he fucked off with the babysitter. So yeah, that's not good. He said that his mom was left with 5 children from 3 different fathers, and no help at this point, and her latest husband fucking the babysitter. So he said he had an elder sister and an elder brother, and then a middle brother, and then I guess another sister too. So he was like the youngest of everybody, it seems like here. So he says that having an absent father affected him deeply, and the way he says it, he quote, it was one of the main reasons I fell into a life of crime.
Yeah, the rage that you feel when that man is not there is brutal, man.
Not only that, when you have one parent instead of 2 and there's 5 kids and you don't have a lot of money and that one parent has to work a lot, then there's no supervision, and then that kid goes out and does shit, and then so it's a matter of even if the kid's not pissed off at anything, he's just out, he's just going to be running.
And he likely feels like he has nothing to lose, and what's the difference? Who's going to tell me no? My fucking mom?
Well, yeah, and he'll describe too his home life here. You'd want to go out in the street too, I think, and do some shit here. He said his mother though sacrificed everything to bring all the kids up, and he said that for a long time he thought she was a vegetarian because the kids would eat meat, but then she wouldn't eat anything. So he was like, "Oh,
man, that shit's expensive.
Mom's
dog.
a vegetarian. Okay, that's nice, but she's eating crackers while I'm eating meat. That makes sense. She's a vegetarian.
She's eating cabbage soup while we all have fucking meat and potatoes."
He said it took him a while to understand that, and then he was like, "Oh, Mom's okay. I get it."
Mom's sacrificing food for us to be able to eat.
He said his first real, run-ins with violence came from a very unlikely place. As a matter of fact, his sister Helen.
What?
Yes, most people who've been through a life of violence and you go, what started it all? They don't go, my fucking sister Helen, that's who started it.
Goddamn Helen.
Goddamn Helen, I'll tell you right now. You rarely hear that. Just go find a gangbanger anywhere in the streets of America and be like, what started you on this?
Like much.
Man, my sister Helen, she's a motherfucker, man. No, seriously, Helen was a bitch.
Helen jumped me in.
Who you think jumped me in, man? Helen's the leader of this fucking whole business. He says, quote, she tormented me physically, mentally, and emotionally with fists, bats, and knives from the age of 3.
Jesus, Helen, calm
What the fuck
down.
is wrong with Helen? Jesus, this book should be about Helen. She sounds like a psychopath at this point. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds like it. He said that was probably the second reason I became a gangster.
Dad being not there, and then my sister being there.
Why'd you become a gangster? The babysitter and Helen. That's why. All right. Why are you doing this? Stop beating me. Why are you beating me? The babysitter and Helen, motherfucker. That's why. So he said that Helen gave him an incredible ability to tolerate pain, as he put it.
That's a lot of beating.
For which today I give thanks to her, for it has saved my life on many occasions, he said. So, he said that he noticed racism at first when he never noticed it before, but when his mom took him in a shop to get some stickers when he was a kid, and he said all the kids were like different colors and shit, all of her 5 kids. And she said we all came in and everybody was like, oh, this fucking red-haired white woman. What the fuck? What's up with the around the world fuck that's going on here that you're doing? What is
this hands across America?
Yeah, it's hands across you, apparently, from all over, everywhere. Hands from around the world across you is what it looks like here. So no, he said that was kind of annoying. He said though, but he said he wouldn't let that bother him. He wouldn't let that bother him. She said that he did say it was very difficult with his mom, no money, no support. He said that he first went into care, which I assume is like a foster care situation.
Okay.
Care in England, in North Wales with his brother Tony when he was 7. And he said every time that it would happen after that, he'd just run away. So That's it. He said one time, I sneaked back home to discover that my dad had returned. Hey, look at that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Oh, wait, no, it's not. He'd returned, quote, to have an affair with the social worker who was supposed to be looking after us. He had sex with her right on my mom's bed.
What?
Yeah. Okay. He got put into foster care. He ran away from foster care to go home, noticed his dad was there. Cool, but his dad is fucking the social worker that's supposed to be keeping him safe in his mother's bed.
How does this guy do this?
How does the father pull it off? Yeah.
He's just banging everybody.
How do you fuck the social? Because the social worker should hate you. They have to deal and put your kids in these places because you've run away and banged the babysitter. Right. And instead, she's like, I see why the babysitter wanted such a piece of your wonderful, wonderful cock. Now I see it. I understand.
May I, por favor, have a sample of that?
Wow, that is wonderful. But it fucks up poor Steve a lot here. The devil is upset about this. That's the problem.
That's tough to come home and be excited to see Pop, and he's laying pipe in the social worker. That's not easy to deal with.
He's laying pipe over here. What are you talking about? Hey, I'm laying pipe on the social worker.
What are eyes?
Oh, what are we talking about here? So what? So I'm laying some pipe. You got a fucking problem with that? It's a goddamn pipe I got to do over here. Hold on a minute. Wait a second. I got to ask this question here. Listen, Pops. Look, she walked in. I thought she was fine, too. You know what I mean? I'm not going to lie. But, Mom's going to be here in like 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Maybe just hurry it up is what I'm saying. Clean up a little bit, Yeah.
Also, where you been?
By the way, nice to see you since I was 2. It's been It's been a while.
I can talk now.
I can talk. So he ended up saying that, this sent him out into the streets even more. I love how one thing that's funny is whenever, a lot of times when criminals write books, they, rather than kind of having this kind of cumulative snowball that really what people's lives are, they attribute behaviors and future things. They project it out from one event. because in your brain later on, that's how you remember shit. You remember that event, and you also remember then doing this, and you put those two together and go, that happened, so I did this, rather than a bunch of other stuff happened in the middle too that all caused this stuff. So he says that. It's like sister makes him do that. Father comes, bangs the social worker. Now he's out in the streets committing crime because now he's mad at that. You know what I mean?
The world's going to pay for this.
The world's going to pay for this. He said he picked up his first conviction at age 11, which is young. Robbing cars, stealing shit out of cars and stuff like that. Then he started, first it was robbing from cars. Then it was taking the actual cars.
Took the whole car.
Yeah, at 11. He said that he'd seen like high-speed chases on TV and he thought that looked pretty fun. So he said, maybe I'll grab some cars and then race them around. He said after a while, though, it was too risky.
Yeah.
He said it was tough because it was difficult because, he's a little kid. He can't see over the steering wheel. Once again, like The Wire, when they see that one little kid driving, they immediately hit the sirens. He doesn't have a fucking license. He's 11. So
that's fascinating because the takeaway from seeing a police chase on TV shouldn't be, that looks like fun. It should be, oh my God, that looks dangerous and horrifying.
Absolutely. Well, you should also probably run away from nicknames like the devil, too, and rather than embracing them, I feel like you're a different kind of fella at that point, possibly.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer. I can really show you how to make some money. And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
So, he said that he soon realized, though, that that's not going to be the moneymaker for him, just stealing cars. It's too difficult, can't do it. So he ends up finding a guy named George Osu, O-S-U, who was he's called like kind of a street mentor at the time here. He said, quote, he was only 16, but he was a movie star. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. This is a different guy. He's talking about the actual, no, wait, who the fuck is this? Okay, no, this is the George guy. I'm sorry, because there's two different street mentors he has, and I thought I had him mixed up, but I didn't. I had him correct, goddammit. So he describes George as, quote, he was only 16, but he was a movie star to all of us. Tall and slim with the neatest of neat afros. He wore a long black leather midi coat just like Shaft, and he always had pound notes on him. Dollars. George's bag was burglaries. It all came down to one thing, small windows. Jimmy just made a face like I told him. It all came down to one thing, Skittles. Like that was the face. You were like, what? Small windows. He said only kids could get through them. So people would leave their tiny windows open because they wouldn't figure people could get through them. So he said this guy had a thing where he would recruit kids to go through the windows and get shit. Okay. So he said at one time George himself had been a house burglar, the kid who squeezed through those windows, but now he'd grown too big, so he's looking for others to recruit.
God damn puberty.
Damn it. Jesus
now
Christ,
I can't
can't fit through shit. My balls drop. They're stuck in there.
Can't crime anymore.
Can't crime. Well, I'll get little kids to do it. He said, George took me under his wing because I was skinny and nimble. He showed me how to get into a house and trained me how to systematically clean a place out. Soon I was screwing 2 houses a week. Wow. His dad's screwing the social worker. He's screwing 2 houses a week. And we made lots of cash. In no time at all, I was dressing just like George. So that's his idol here. So he said as well, he starts taking up actual normal fighting at the same time here. He says, not only was I fast, but I was also becoming a champion fighter in waiting. My sister's beatings had made me immune to the pain. He said,
thanks, Alan.
Thanks, Hal. He said, and he describes to talk about that when most people are hit, and this is true actually, most people when they're hit, it's kind of like we described, they talk about most people that get shot, they fall down because they think they're supposed to fall down because that's what they see in movies. This is the same thing. Most people that get hit, they think they're supposed to be hurt. So they automatically like kind of go down.
Yeah, they cover up.
If you've been hit a lot, you know whether you're hurt or not. So you take a shot.
And
unless you're fucking seeing stars and spinning, or you think your nose is broken or something, it just pisses you off at that point. You motherfucker, you know?
Yeah.
It's different. You're not shocked. He said it's the shock of being hit that most people are. It takes them 5 seconds to realize they're in a fight. That's the problem most people have.
And if you're not used to getting hit, you can't gauge which pain, like being hit in the side of the head. If you don't go out or whatever, it's just a clunk in the head. Mm-hmm. Hitting the nose, sometimes it goes numb and it's broken and there's no blood.
Yeah, who knows?
Sometimes there's blood fucking everywhere and you're fine.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you just
it's
happen
hard to
hit
gauge
you just right
if you've never done it right.
Yeah. So he says though he was so used to getting beat up that if somebody hit him, he was able to strike back immediately because he would just be upset about it. He wouldn't be, anything like that. He said he took up boxing, quote, perfecting my natural ability for street combat, and was soon cock of the school. Good for you.
Cock of the walk, but never.
Good for you, man. He's the cock of the school. His dad's the cock of the social workers. He's passed his cock down to him. That's nice of him, right? So he then joined an organization, which is, kids need.
Yeah.
You need a group somewhere to be, something to be a part of. Something
Ranger Rick.
Well, the Young Black Panthers, but
or
the Young Black Panthers. So either way, I mean, he joins a group, so that's good.
Yeah.
It's nice that he has friends anyway.
Yeah.
So he said at the age of 12, he joined the Young Black Panthers, and it's based on the one from the U.S. obviously, but it's of English descent, so it's more polite. There's tea involved.
They say in it.
We're angry, but we also would like some tea. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
we're all angry, innit?
Yeah. All right, we're angry, isn't it? All right. Well, no, pour the tea then. I'm not that angry. I mean, I'm angry, but I still want tea. It's So if you could, so he's talking about all of that shit. He talks about how he did that. He said that. There was an article done on him, on his group there in the Observer magazine, and which was a, quote, supplement of the Sunday broadsheet. I guess that's the newspaper. I don't know which fucking one. Who the fuck knows? He said they took a picture of us climbing the wall outside the cathedral. The bit in the text below about the skinheads was spot on. So this is what he says. This was the caption, quote, the Great Wall of Liverpool surrounds the cathedral and is a conveniently situated training center for young panthers. Getting up to the top is what matters. Going up fast and skillful like a novice commando gives you new confidence, prestige, and sinew. Qualities that are going to be tested in your next encounter with white skinheads. The inner city district of Liverpool 8 near the cathedral has appalling housing, bad schools, and chronic unemployment. Whites and blacks are trapped together in the same vicious cycle of slumdom. So there you go. That's the description of kind of their group and what's going on.
Yeah.
So he says, so by the time he's 13, he says he's too big to fit through the windows anymore.
Yeah.
Not happening anymore. So
he got big faster than George did.
Same, probably. I don't know.
13. Wasn't George 16 when he quit?
No. He was 16 running the gang. He just used to do that.
Got it.
Who knows when he? Yeah. So he said that at that point he recruited what he called an innocent young boy to take my place, called Curtis. Okay. Now Curtis is going to become the richest drug dealer in England later on. Yeah, he's going to literally be the kingpin of kingpins. He's on their Forbes 500 list as far as like wealthy people. Yeah, we'll talk about him. So he says that Curtis was reluctant. He said, but quote, I simply forced him through the windows. Just shoved him in like a greased up missile. Just fucking put some butter on him and fucking threw him through a window.
Find the jewels, boy. Find them.
That's it. Go get it. Come on. Sniff it out. You can do it. So he said one evening in November of 1974, he picked him up at his mom's house, and they had a stolen Ford Cortina they were driving.
I don't even know what that car is.
Different model names in England, so who the hell knows?
Know what one that is.
Yeah, I don't either. Probably one of their shitty. I'm sure it's a smaller one, whatever their smaller cars were at that point.
They like tiny cars.
Yeah, they don't fit anywhere else. They're small fucking roads. So he said to make himself, what the hell does this mean? Quote, to make himself look older so he didn't get a tug. A tug? Somebody jerked him off on the way there?
You got to look older, otherwise they'll molest you around here.
What are you, 14? Get that cock out. You look a little young. He said that George wore a black flash mustache that was in stark contrast to his ginger afro. Okay. He said, quote, Curtis had the face of an angel and was so light-skinned he could pass for white. We'd find a big house in the country, get him to knock on the door with kind of lost babes in the wood routine, and if someone answered, he'd innocently ask for directions. If nobody was in, he'd come back to the car and give us the green light to go to work. So, wow. He said that one night after Curtis found there was no one in the mansion, he said, George turned to me and said, Frenchie, get in the house with him, put the stuff in boxes in the hallway, open the door, then I'll come and pick the stuff up. He said he was a bit scared, quote, but George spat on me, hit me in the face, and told me, get your fucking arse up there, open the door, and stop making excuses.
Attaboy.
That was the nature of our relationship. That sounds wonderful. He spit on him.
Get your fucking arse up there.
Not just a smack, smack. You fucking get up there, you fucking pussy. Jesus Christ. That seems like a lot, right? I don't know.
So you become the boss, James.
You got to spit on him, isn't it? So he said, as Curtis and I were creeping up the path, they heard a little noise. He said, to make sure no one was home, Curtis gave the door a loud knock and shouted through the letterbox, is anybody in? Is anybody in? He said, even at that age, he had an incredible nerve, unshakable confidence, and an ability not to panic, whereas on the other hand, my nerves were already beginning to jingle. He said they got a bunch of shit, a portable TV, a radio cassette player, jewelry, silverware, anything that they could, hawk quick, basically.
Yeah.
He said as they were loading shit into the car, George said, you haven't done the kitchen yet. Get in there and see if there's any cash. So he said,
where people hide cash?
In the kitchen, under the silverware. I have no idea where you hide cash in England.
Some people put it in the fridge. There is that cold hard cash
freezer.
thing.
I've heard freezer before. People putting, I guess. But he said you haven't done the kitchen. Get in there. So he said they went back in there. Him and Curtis. They opened the door of the kitchen. He said, and there before us was the biggest fucking monster Rottweiler I'd ever seen.
God damn it.
Uh-oh. He said, Curtis flew into the car, leaving me to cop a terrible bite on the arse. That pretty much marked the end of my burglary career. So, yeah, he basically described the beginning of the movie The Ref. And George is chain smoking there, or whatever his name was, at the bar while Dennis Leary's getting bit in the ass by a Rottweiler.
What was it? I forget
think it
his
was
name.
George.
No. It was like Benny or Vinny or some shit like that because he was screaming at him on the phone, right?
Yeah, maybe it was. Yeah, he was. Why did I think it was George? Someone's fucking name was George. I don't know. Either way,
that was the dad's name, wasn't it?
I don't remember. He was yelling at him all the time on the phone. He kept calling the bar, Murray. Murray, you fucking piece of shit. It came out, channeled it. Murray, you fucking piece of shit. What are you doing right now? You fucking drinking right now? No, not doing nothing.
No,
not doing nothing. What do you mean?
I'm waiting for you.
Yeah, I'm over here waiting for you. Not doing nothing.
Where you at?
I'm waiting for you just like you said.
Murray, you fucking piece of shit.
Murray, I love that. Hi, can I speak to Murray, please? Hello? Murray, you fucking drunk piece of shit. What the fuck are you doing? Yeah, drunk piece of shit sitting at the end of the bar. And he describes him. Oh, yeah, we got one of those.
Oh, yeah, he's right here. Hey, Murray, it's for you. You, Murray?
Because he asked, is there a drunk piece of shit motherfucking blah, 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 blah? And Murray goes, that's for me. Yeah,
that's for me.
That's me.
Down here?
Named Murray? Is there one of those down there? Okay, that was very funny. I love the ref. So
it's a great movie.
It really is. Now, Curtis, as he describes it, stuck with it and went on to bigger and better things. He said that this must have given him good legs under him because he went on to become the richest, most successful criminal in British history, worth by some newspaper estimates £250 million.
So probably 800 million pounds.
Well, yeah. Wait till you hear what's going on with this guy. So they said he became the most prolific drug trafficker in Britain, the most wanted man in Europe at one point, which he was, actually. His nickname was Cocky, Curtis Warren. And, he did all this type of shit.
Steve made him.
What's up?
Steve made him.
Well, he threw him through a window, greased him up and shoved him through a window.
Shot him in there.
He said that he actually, this is not from the book, this is from other research on Curtis here. He was Interpol's Target 1 at one point.
Holy shit.
And he was once listed on the Sunday Times Rich List, which, do you know what the Sunday Times Rich List is?
I'm going to imagine it was something that Robin Leach wrote.
Probably. He would jerk off to it, I think, is what he would do. He just jerk. Oh, look at that. Oh.
Grease up and
that's
imagine
fucking yacht. Oh, isn't it? Oh, all right. And then he's old, so he just kind of dribble on top of the yachts. All right. He'd say over and over again. Isn't it? All right.
Dribbles on magazine articles that he wishes this guy would invite him to come see the home.
It's so glossy. Well,
why won't he call me back?
I'm not good enough, isn't it? So the Sunday Times Rich List is a list of the 1,000 wealthiest people or families residents of the United Kingdom, ranked by net wealth.
Okay, and he was where?
He was on the list. It's updated annually. We'll talk about it here. What do I have on that? The list updated annually, blah, 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 blah. They've been doing it since 1989. 2015, by the way, was the first time in the history since 1989 that the Queen was not among the top 300 most wealthy list. First time,
right?
Yeah. She was number 1 in 1989 when it first came out. Now she's dropped below 300.
Holy shit!
Yeah. The Queen must be hurting over there.
Broke bitch.
Those dresses look pretty old that she's wearing. I'm going to be honest. They look like she pulled them out of the back of her closet. I'm just saying.
She might be hanging on to some old shit.
So he gets into karate. Does Stephen here? Does the devil? The devil likes karate.
Yeah.
He said after watching his hero Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon, I've heard so fucking many people say that they got into martial arts, this, that, anything because of Bruce Lee. But we weren't alive, obviously, in the 70s when this was going on. How?
But I have friends that got into it because of him in the 80s.
But in the 70s it was a cultural phenomenon. Bruce Lee was the biggest fucking thing in the 70s.
Yeah.
We just can't we can't quantify it because by the 80s it was over. He was dead. It was fucking over. I mean, he wasn't even old, just making movies but being a little slower with the karate. You know what I mean? He wasn't even doing that.
Jackie Chan not doing backflips anymore.
Just using ladders all the time. Just get a ladder and put it over his head and go back and forth with it and do that. And go, I can't do those kicks anymore.
Just tying people up with ropes and smacking people with hammers.
I'm going to do a ladder thing and I'm going to run up his chest and kick him once. But I'm not going to do the backflip I'm just going to jump straight down.
Otherwise, my hip will be fucked for 6 months. I can't do it.
It's not going to work. So, yeah, he said that was the thing. He wanted to do karate, but he had no money. And to do karate classes, you had to have money. So then he heard of an instructor at the Liverpool Shaolin Karate Club that let poor kids train for free.
Really?
A little program there. Ronnie Colwell, it was his name, and he loves Ronnie Colwell. He calls him he calls him Pops. He said he's like his second father or first father, I guess, in this case. And he
teach him Taekwondo.
So he said that he wasn't even 5'10", and he wasn't a big guy, but he called him one of the most dangerous people on the planet. He said he became the father he never had over the next 15 years. He said that Ronnie had trained at a top martial arts academy in Japan and wanted to come back to where he was from, to the inner city, and give something back. So he did that. He said that Ronnie took him in his office and said, quote, "I can see something in you, Stephen, but I'm either going to make you or break you getting it out. It's up to you which." Oh. Jesus, told that to a child. He said,
"My sister already did that."
He's like, "Oh, you can't break me. You telling me you're tougher than Helen? I don't think so."
You got scalding water around here?
Got a curtain rod handy? I didn't think so. I'm telling you, Helen's a bad bitch.
I think I'm going to be fine, Ron. Let's go.
I know Helen doesn't sound tough, but you know what? I'm going to bring Helen in here, and you deal with her, and we'll see who's the tougher one, and then I'll take the training from that.
Just teach the roundhouse kicks, Ron. Let's go.
But for him, he said this was the first time that anyone had ever said, "I see anything in you" for anything. So he was like, holy shit. And he said he was determined to not fuck that up. He'll fuck it up many times, but not in karate and martial arts. He's really good at that. He said he got his yellow belt within a year, and then he left school at 15. So he dropped out at 15 so he could sign up for the dole. He could sign up for welfare, basically. That's what he would do because
holy shit.
He's a minor, so he can get, minor. He's not in school. He's alone, whatever. So
he's got to choose between school and government assistance.
He wants government assistance and karate. Those are the things he wants.
Okay.
And street crime, as we'll talk about as well, too.
Yeah.
So he said, though, he was going to tournaments all over the country, and he wanted to be able to pay. He had to be able to pay his way to karate tournaments, so that's why he did that. He said that one day he went to fight the England International Coaches Club team at Crystal Palace in London. He put it this way, quote, "The refereeing was bent as fuck." That's really official, that way to put it. Bent as fuck.
I don't think they're allowed to say that now, right?
Bent just means crooked. Bender is a but then someone who is bent,
right?
But
I don't know. I don't know what he's saying there.
He describes the way he uses bent is in a lot of ways is in a way of crooked, because he says the cops are bent toward this later, so that's another thing. So I think it's a context word. I think it can mean gay or it can mean crooked, depending on what context it is. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's like aloha. Maybe they just use it for everything. You come in, you're a little hungry, you're like, "Oh, I'm bent," and it's like, "Yeah, it's about 6 o'clock. That's all in context. He must be hungry." And he's like, "No, I want to introduce you to my boyfriend," and you're like, "Oh wow, I was making dinner." Sure. Hi, how you doing?
It's a real English shalom.
Yeah, it's all it is, man. I think it is. We're not sure. So he said, "We scored our points clean, but the markers made out they hadn't seen our world-class jabs and kicks and ripped us off left, right, and center. In desperation, Ronnie turned to his 5 sons. That was me and the team." That's his 5 sons, the karate team. This is when they turn into the bad guys in the Karate Kid here. This is when they...
now Cobra Kai.
This is when Johnny steps in, and he literally says to them, quote, "We can't win here honorably, so I'm instructing you to forget the rules and attack them full on."
He literally
Sweep the leg. Take it. Take
Get
the
him
leg,
a body bag.
Johnny. Take them out in the next round. Body bag. You follow? Let them have it. I don't know if this happened. I feel like he might have just seen the Karate Kid once and then put it in the back of his mind and forgot about it. And then when he thinks about karate as a kid, he's like, "God damn it," when that one kid. And then afterwards, in the The next time when we caught up to him, they went out in the parking lot, and then the guy punched a window out, and then there's an Asian man. No, wait. Hold on a minute. This isn't right.
Chain link fence somewhere.
Fuck, what's going on here?
Somebody running in a shower curtain. It was a real weird time.
Things were happening real fast around me. I'm not sure. So his instructor told them to forget the rules and sweep the leg. So there we go. He said, we knew what he meant. Forget about no contact. Just knock the other team out. Full stop. At the end of the tournament, we 5 fighters stood proud and bowed to the other side. On the other side, only 2 men just about remained upright. The rest ended up in casualty. Needless to say, we got disqualified.
Casual? They murdered people.
Injured. Casualty can mean injuries, too.
We murked people that day.
We murked them up on that mat that day. No, casualty is anybody who can't participate anymore for whatever the fuck. So he said the club became famous for its toughness and its trophies. Jesus. Our bright red tracksuits emblazoned with the Toxic LSKC on the back struck fear into the hearts of our opponents. It wasn't long before the news of our infamy got into the newspapers and the magazines. So, wow. That's about all the sports we're going to talk about. There's another thing for about a minute later on. Back to criminal activities, because this is mainly everything here. Okay, this shit.
Okay. He's a champion now.
Yeah. Oh, he's a champion. Yeah, he's a champ. He'll be a champion.
Trophies.
Later on, he'll have a medal. He's really good. So,
wow.
This is an area of the story I like to call thug life. Here it is. So this is where he decides where to go. He said the club is where he met a guy named Andrew John. And he said that's a guy who's going to be, and it's someone he's going to be very tight with. He calls him his brother always and all this type of shit. He said they were, from the second they met, they were brothers, siblings, and soulmates.
In like the fight club or in the
karate club? In the karate club. Yeah, in the karate club. He said that also, quote, he was an incredible martial artist and the only man I've ever truly feared. Oh. That's saying a lot, it seems like. So he said they were together all the time, hanging out, best of friends after that. He said he was eager to move from no contact to full contact, and he puts it this way, quote, this meant that you could whack a geezer out and draw blood.
God, I love the way they talk.
When you say whack, unless you mean just whack him, that's a murder. Any other connotation of the word whack means to jerk off in America. So it's hilarious. When you say whack a geezer out, that can be whack him out. That's kill. That's fine. But if you said whack a geezer off, that would have been terrible. So never say that. And draw blood.
Drawing blood when you whack a geezer off.
Wow.
You're doing it wrong.
You are aggressively doing it. I mean, wow. Either that
Get
or
some more lube in there.
Fuck, man. Just wore the skin off. Either that or get some softer hands, sir. Good Lord. He said, so it was as close to reality as possible. Intuitively, I knew that's where I would come into my own and become a champion fighter, but I still had a long way to go. I was 6'3" tall, but still rake thin. So yeah, comes a tall guy here. He then says, quote, one night when I tried to get into a nightclub called The Timepiece, a bully doorman called Tommy Wall stopped me. This is about some fucking bully English bouncer. Picture this guy. You can...
The guy in between the line and the club is called Wall. That's awesome.
Yeah, Tommy Wall. I'm the Wall.
Brilliant, yeah.
And he's apparently very mean, has a big rep for street fighting, he says later on. Quote, he was a giant of a man with a legendary rep as a street fighter. Tommy Wall. He just says, you're not 18, isn't it? And then it's on. And that's what he says to him, quote, you're not 18. Quote, my daughter's got a bigger chest than you. Oh. That's what the Wall says to him. He says, quote, then he gave me a smack and I fell to the floor. I can remember looking up at him from the gutter, knowing that there was nothing I could do, as he was a giant of a man. Nevertheless, I felt the rage burning and the evil building up inside me. I swore that one day I would get revenge.
That's a very... I can't believe they're allowed to do that. Just smack people that aren't allowed in the club.
You're not 18. You must be a child. Pow! And then I smack you in the face. I could see if you smack adults and that was drunken adults, but you're a child. Therefore, I can kick you into the gutter. What the hell is that about?
Those aren't dress shoes and then smack them. But you're not 18? What?
You're a child, which means I can beat you.
That means that
was
that's a felony, I think.
Oh, it's got to be something, but not if nobody tells, and that's what he figures out here. He said that he tried to stay on the straight and narrow. He did. He tried to just live on the dole and do his karate. He said, but it's so hard. He said, it's so hard. At one point he said, quote, it wasn't long before the dark side came for me.
Hell yeah.
In the form of a karate guy from his team here named Liam. He said they became street robbers together. Okay. And he said, as well as a way of getting money, it was an opportunity to practice our kicks and punches on real people. That's nice. That's good, right? Practice my kicks and punches on real people. It was
unsuspecting ones, but people nonetheless.
It was kind of like when surgeons practice cutting up dead bodies instead of drawing diagrams. Except those people are fucking dead and they volunteered their body for this service. You're just talking about people walking down the street who I don't think went, want to go get punched and kicked tonight, all right? Hey, that sounds good, all right. And let's go out there. They didn't leave the house to get punched and kicked, I don't think.
A bigger difference between the two is one can feel it.
Yeah, that's the problem. He said that at that time, all the lads in the neighborhood were becoming muggers. You don't expect to hear the word lad and mugger in the same, describing the same people.
Yeah.
He's a mugger of a lad. That's not a normal. A lad's like a little kid with the little knickers on.
Yeah, lad indicates
paperboy hat,
sweet. Yeah,
yeah. He's
mugger,
different
guy.
Hey, give me all your money. A lad's like, hello, sell your newspaper.
A lad is the guy, the mugger, fucking mugs.
Yeah, the poor lad. You tell the lads to run away. There's muggers afoot.
Yeah, tell them. You warn the lads of the muggers.
Get away. Oh, man. So they would do all of that. He said that they were all becoming muggers. Quote, it was all the rage. That's nice. Like all the kids were wearing a certain style. They were all wearing baggy pants this year. Last year they were mugging. It's all different. Things change.
Muggers are the real Jordans of England.
Yeah. They come in. It stays in fashion. He said that according to police records later, that Curtis Warren, separate of him, was purse snatching at this time. He had moved on from
running his own racket.
Yep,
yeah.
to purse snatching. He then said, "Oh my goodness, Lord." Okay, well this certainly isn't me talking. So let's not quote me on this. I
want to plug my ears, but I can't.
Stephen French quote: Liam and I started off by queer bashing.
Oh,
that's not good. Simply waiting near men's toilets and robbing the cottagers who hung around such places for sex. So, male prostitutes.
Okay.
That's what he's, rolling male prostitutes.
The both of yous are hanging around male bathrooms. So, who's the queer?
If someone drives by, it all looks the same, right?
Yeah.
They would say, hey, how much to you? Because you're hanging out there too. So, what are you doing? He said, we knew they wouldn't report it to the police as it was too embarrassing for them. This taught me the first golden rule of taxing. Unreported crime is the best crime because there is no punishment. Yeah. So he always says that, he wasn't like anti-gay people. He'll say later on he wasn't anti whoever he was robbing. He just wanted money. So whoever had money was who he was taking it from. Didn't matter to him who it was.
He's not anti anybody. He's pro-victim.
He's anti-victim is what he is, really.
Yeah.
He's pro making people a victim.
Right.
So he said, so then they started doing it, mugging people 3-4 times a week, just fucking plowing through. This is amazing. Quote, our secret weapon was a 9-feet-long leather Comanchero whip.
9-foot-long whip.
What fucking muggers mug with a whip? Where are you, New Mexico in 1875? Right. Who is mugging someone with a whip?
That's crazy.
What are you, Indiana Jones? Indiana Jones's young life was much different from his professorial later years. What the fuck is happening?
Got into ancient artifacts.
Yeah. This is a first. One day he came across a whip meaning to just mug people, but then he noticed the craftsmanship of the whip, asked a historian about it. Next thing you know, here he is.
Do you think he's making all of this up and he's just like picking movies from the time and placing himself in them?
Putting a whip in his hand in the middle of the
Indiana Jones was right
Liverpool.
there.
Yeah, in the middle of Liverpool, in the streets, in the hood in Liverpool, not in like a Moroccan fucking bazaar market in fucking 1942. What's happening?
It's like Family Guy wrote his childhood.
That's what it kind of is, yeah, with like little cutaways. Yeah. A cutaway to him with a whip on a street, and you're like, wow, how'd we get here? I'd like to see how Peter set this up. And
he only used the whip for a little while until he realized he could rip hearts out of chests with his bare fucking hand.
They would beat for a couple seconds, and you could talk to the person, and they would talk back to you. And then you eat monkey brains with an Asian boy.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this white Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
So, a 9-foot... This is a crime in sports first, by the way.
Yeah.
314 episodes. We've never, ever had anybody assault anyone else with a 9-foot-long Comanchero leather whip. That's never happened before. He said that Liam would sneak up on someone from behind and lashed the whip, quote, like a cowboy in a movie, so it wrapped around the legs and pulled the person to the ground. He would whoop up and then yank out from under him like they were a bandit trying to get away in a cowboy movie. What in the shit is going on? He said, one night we attacked an Irish brother who wasn't a stranger to hardship or street life. He was a man who had evidently decided that he wasn't going to be robbed by a couple of boys. They robbed like some tough fucking Irish guy. And he said the fight that ensued eventually became too much for my cohort Liam, and he soon deserted me, leaving me to deal with this raging bull all on my own. So, quote, once it was one-on-one, the Irishman's adrenaline kicked in, as is nature's way, converting him from victim to attacker. The bull rushed me. Time slowed down. He's always talking about time slowing down. A second became a minute. What was it? A nanosecond became an eon earlier when he was being stabbed.
Right.
Now a second becomes a minute. He's going to have a harder time finding fucking metaphors later on. So
he's a time bender.
He's a time bender. As he charged toward me, I assumed my fighting stance and shaped my fist into a ram's head, protruding the knuckles of my index and middle finger so they stood out from the rest like two antlers. This uranium-tipped apex, known as the Seikon in Japanese, became the focal point of all my power, and I channeled all of my inner chi into this deadly spearhead.
I'm trying to do it right now.
What
it's
the
fucking hard.
Fuck are you? It's not. But he just described a deadly spear. He's punching someone. This is a paragraph because he described how to punch someone
with a deadly ram's head fist. And,
well,
and he channeled
these two, middle and index.
Oh, it's those two.
Like
Okay.
that. Yeah, just so you get a little extra.
I was trying to do ring and index.
Yeah, it's a very good way to break your finger, by the way. Don't
Fuck
do
yeah.
that. Yeah, if you've done any time boxing, you want to hit things as flat as fucking possible.
Box
Flat.
that fucker up.
Yeah, you don't want to hit.
Use
hit
your
with
big knuckle in the middle.
You ever hit? If you hit the top of a fucking head with a side of a knuckle, that is a bad time for all. Not good. So he's talking about this, channeling his inner chi into a deadly spearhead, like an arrow from a bow, like a bullet from a gun. I fired a straight right punch to meet the oncoming juggernaut. On impact, the blow landed on the point of his jaw, the target area, at the moment that he was accelerating to his optimum speed. Does he see things like
miles an hour?
See things like the Predator, I think, too? Like he's got the fucking thing.
Yeah.
There's like a little, gauges and shit. It's what is he talking about? An immovable object meets an oncoming force and collision occurs.
Yeah.
Okay. As my knuckles crashed into his jaw, his eyeballs rolled into the back of his head. He was unconscious before he hit the ground.
Wow.
This is what would the first of would eventually become a total of 39 victorious street KOs. He counts them as
They don't have to be though.
You don't
Leave
have-
people the fuck alone.
Yeah, you started this.
Right.
As the Irishman lay on the ground, I took his watch and wallet, making 17 pounds 50 that night, a good score. In 1977, that bought me a shirt, pants, and a pair of boots. So,
Wow.
not bad. But he's still not convinced that a life of crime is for him, even though he is capable of channeling his inner chi into a deadly spearhead.
Which is
He's
his
capable
fist.
of that. His fist, and he can knock out grown Irishmen. He has decided that maybe not, so he signs up for the Job Creation Program, which I assume is the British Job Corps.
It is.
Yeah, that's what that is. As an apprentice painter and decorator,
Yep.
along with Liam, his fellow whip buddy there. So, by the way, he has a lot of balls calling people gay when he's walking around the streets with another man and a
Right.
whip. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty
and
fucking
then
gay.
becoming an interior decorator.
That's-
what the fuck, sir?
That's what I'm saying. This is
you want a
pot call-
job corps? You could choose any job, and you chose interior decorator.
This is the pot calling the kettle black while punching it. This is
In it.
all right. So he said it wasn't long before the temptation of easy money, though, brought them back to the streets and started robbing the council houses that they were supposed to be decorating. So instead of decorating, they would just what would look better in here without the television? I think it would look much better. I think there's not enough open space. Let's take that jewelry box out of here and see how it looks. What do you say?
Place would look a lot nicer with all this shit in the bed of my pickup
That
truck.
would look much better. There's cash in the back of the freezer. This is terrible decorating. So he's doing all this. He said that he decided to get away from Liverpool and all of its scallywag temptations, which, Jimmy, we've all sat back from time to time and said, gee, this whole thing is a scallywag right now, and the temptations of this scallywaggery are just a little too much for me, and I think it's time to go.
He's now mixing Pirates of the Caribbean into this fucking life.
Well, yeah, I think they mixed it into his, honestly, probably. He is a pirate. I mean, come on. Yeah, Johnny Depp didn't have a whip, did he?
He may have. I don't know.
I'm half
Haven't
pirate,
seen 'em
half
all.
cowboy. Ta-da! Look at me. I also time travel. And
It's only a matter of time.
what other movies are we talking about? Fuck, I
And I've
can't.
I got a mean 1-inch punch.
Yep, the old 1-incher. He said that he got a job as a live-in painter with Grand Metropolitan Hotels in London. So I guess he probably got a free hotel room, and he did like spot painting. He says, quote, "It was a good screw." That's nice. Well paid, and there were lots of opportunities for skiving. Stealing shit, I guess. I'd simply find an empty room in the hotel, preferably the penthouse, and pretend it needed a new roll of wallpaper or a lick of paint. Then I'd lock myself in and watch telly all day. For fucking off. That's what that is, I guess. Yeah, you just chill out. That sounds wonderful.
Turn the AC down and watch TV.
Kick back, order room service.
There you go.
He said in the evenings he worked a second job as a cleaner in a Blackfriars office block. He would mop 13 floors one after another. And he wanted to get enough money to start a new life back in Liverpool, maybe open a decorating business or something like that. Mm-hmm. He said his dream was to move out of the ghetto. That's all he wanted, to get the fuck out of the ghetto. So he said 2 months later, I returned to Liverpool with £1,000 in my pocket. There you go. Back in the 70s, too. He said 16 hours after jumping off the Rattler at Lime Street Station, my ambitions to start over were in the dust. I was penniless, having blown everything I had made playing 70 Kaluki. What the fuck is that?
I don't know.
That is the most English-sounding game ever. 70 Kaluki in an illegal gambling den. This isn't even a thing you play with your friends. This is like a casino game. What the fuck is Kaluki?
It's got to be.
It's like the Fruity,
roulette, right?
I don't fucking know. Is it like the Fruity? I'm not sure.
I think 70. There's probably 70 numbers on a wheel, and they spin the goddamn thing.
You know, maybe it's like blackjack, but not. Maybe you have to get 70 instead of 21. Maybe that's what it is. We don't fucking know. Whoever's
That's a tough game. That's a long
closest
one.
to 70, isn't it? It's a lot of cards, you know. It takes a while. It's more of a settle-in kind of a game. I'm not sure. He said, I'd gone in there wearing rows of gold sovereigns on my hand and come out in my slippers. They had even taken my brand new Adidas trainers. He bet his shoes, Jimmy.
How do you put your shoes up? How do you do that? What do you win if they win?
I get all your shoes now. When you bet your shoes, that's when you have a gambling problem.
Yeah.
When you can't even run away from yeah. Well, when you can't run away from the people you owe money to, that's it's gone too far. He said years later he found out that these old card sharks with names such as Leadbelly, I guess that was one of the guy's names, had cheated the naive young Mark who had wandered into their lair. Yeah, they worked him. They hustled him. He said, once again, all of my hopes had come to fuck all, which is a great Britishism there. All of my hopes had come to fuck all. That is wonderful. He said so. He was pretty shit out of luck. He was pissed off, and he decided that this straight life just doesn't pay shit.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, you get screwed over, and then you're done. And he said,
underground casino guys ruining you.
That's it. He said, quote, I could feel the beast reawakening inside of me. Oh. The devil was about to surface, Jimmy. Yeah. You know it. He said he went straight in town after that loss and tried to mug somebody to make up for it. Which, if you're mugging someone who's wearing house slippers, that's pretty funny. You're not even wearing sneakers, and you run away from them. Who cares? They're not going to catch you. It's great. He said that to this point, he said this was the time when he went over to the dark side for good and for real. See, there's always an event that triggers. He said, quote, the beast had forced his way into the fore and was looking for unsuspecting victim to prey on. I went into Flanagan's Irish bar, full of rich Irish punters on their way to the Grand National. I joined the ranks of the muggers, prostitutes, and pickpockets who had descended on Liverpool to take advantage of the flush racing fans that flocked to Aintree annually. So, yeah, it's a big race. It's like the Kentucky Derby's in town, and there's a lot of rich people from out of town to fucking roll, basically. That's, any time there's something like that going on in a town, there's going to be...
Oh, there's ne'er-do-wells looking to take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
He said it was like feeding time at the watering hole, lions on the hunt for antelopes. He said he stood at the bar until he saw a guy pull out a nice enough wad. And he said he waited for this guy to get all shit-faced and then followed him into the bathroom. He said, I gave him a few licks, took his wallet off him, and got out of there. I got about 350 pounds, which was enough for me to see through. That day in 1980 was the last and only time I would ever be flat broke. It's fucking on. We'll put it that way. He said, after that, all I ever wanted to be was a hard case, to be feared rather than loved. However, I was always generous with my family. When I ate, everyone ate. When I made a packet, I made sure it got whacked out on my family.
Gross.
Just, I spray it. I give everybody a taste. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everybody gets a taste, kids. Come on. He said, you could say that this is the penance I paid to appease my own conscience. So, June 1981, he has a son. Uh-huh. A son is born. Stephen Jr.
You betcha.
Of course it is.
He has no money.
It is. Of course it is.
What is he so proud of?
He does now. He's doing it now. He's going to do just fine. Then he talks about 1981. This is actually a big historical thing that happened. He claims to be one of the few people that set the whole thing off. And it might be true because it was in his neighborhood. If anybody was to set it off, it would be him and his crew, basically. So July 3rd, 1981, here. Now, huge recession in Britain. Big recession here, too, at that point. So, I mean, it's kind of going on all over the place. He said nobody had a job. Just poverty was shit. He said that he was trying to settle down with this girl he met. He met a chick a month before, and he had gone to London, and he came back, and he's got this girlfriend named Maria Sampson, and also his son Stephen had been born there. They all come back. He said he's trying to get work, do the right thing, and fight the evil inside me, but it just didn't work. That's what he said. The way he describes it as, it was a summer's day in 1981. He said Stephen was about a month old. He was out with his brother, as he calls him, Andrew John, there, the only man he's ever feared. He said that they would always try to physically outdo each other, like friends do. I can touch that. Can you jump up and touch shit like that? He said that there was a warm day. They were hanging around on a street near the perimeter of the ghetto, as he says. He said suddenly a police officer, my age, thin, naive, and wet behind the ears, stepped out from one of two police cars and attempted to physically and verbally abuse us. He told us to move on when there was clearly nowhere else to move on. Now he's seen The Wire. He's definitely seen The Wire. He's like up against the wall. They're like knockers and fucking knockers. The jump out boys are coming. You got to be aware of that shit. So he says this all happened. He told us to move on when clearly there was nowhere else to go. He said, quote, Babylonians they were, flexing their muscles. Oh, he's getting deep now. He said another police officer said, quote, monkeys get back to the zoo. Go on, get your asses back to Granby Street, meaning that we were to get back to the heart of the ghetto and stay there. So he said a lad called Leroy Cooper was with us. Leroy was the most eloquent lad I knew, and today is a well-published poet. He verbally slaughtered these busies, and they retaliated by resorting to their old stalwarts of, you dirty black bastards, you nasty N-words, get back to Africa.
Jesus God.
So
Cops said this shit too?
That's what he said. He said cops said this, and he keeps there's plenty of things where he keeps saying the cops in this area were openly racist toward him, basically, and they, just said whatever. He said at this, Leroy became incensed. Andrew and I, accompanied by another mate called Ivan Freeman, watched as he rammed the police car with the bicycle he was riding. Well, that's an unfair matchup. I mean, that's not going to do much.
Yeah.
He said 3 policemen came at him and attempted to arrest him. At this point, Andrew gave me the look. The one that painted 1,000 words. We were veteran martial artists in complete control of our bodies and minds, and we were prepared to step into the arena of combat, even if it was against the stormtroopers of Margaret Thatcher's establishment. Leroy cried out, enough is enough! Thus, the torch paper had been lit. An uprising had begun. The rest, as they say, is history. This turned out to be what's called the Toxteth riots.
Really?
And it's Toxteth riots. It's a huge thing that goes on for days and days. It has a big Wikipedia page all about it.
And he maybe kicked it off.
He's saying he did kick it off. I mean, literally with a cop. He started fighting cops.
Yeah.
So he says, as this goes, enough is enough. He said, though the papers called it the Toxteth riots, what happened next wasn't really a riot. It was a rebellion against oppression and injustice. One of the police cars, a Panda or Rover, I think, was pushed into some roadworks and then down a hill before being set alight. They burned a cop car.
Wow.
The 3 injured officers escaped in the other car. The ferocity of our retaliation swept through the ghetto like a whirlwind. Never had such a force been seen in the UK. Leroy marched through the streets like Spartacus through the villages as the ranks rapidly swelled behind him.
Wow.
So, they ended up, from the streets, they're coming in. Yeah, look like fucking like the Warriors or something here. So he said that terrified Merseyside police were forced to bus in officers from outside the region to put on the front line. The poor bastards never knew what hit them. However, it was not about race. Both black and white joined forces in the battle against oppression and police brutality. So it said everybody got together. Just everyone poor got together. Right. He said, I ripped the stripes from a sergeant's arm, took his helmet, and wore the spoils of victory like a Zulu warrior wearing a British redcoat at the Battle of, Isanwana. So he said he's...
Stunning.
Yeah. Then I took a bin lid as a shield, garbage can lid, and used it as a shield, and broke off a table leg as a weapon. The army of people around me followed suit. I started to rhythmically bang the bin lid on the ground to warn my attackers off. So he's doing Warriors Come Out and Play now. Yeah. Or Farmer in the Dell. This is his version of it. It was that's how he's doing it. Soon enough, my soldiers in arms began to do the same, making an unholy racket. Our aggressors turned heel and fled. I was 21 years old, and for the first time in my life, I felt truly free. I was an all-conquering lion of my tribe. I raised my head up to the blazing sky, let out a primeval roar of victory, and felt a wave of sensation go through me that was better than sex. Better than sex. Fighting off the police and making them run from you is apparently better than sex. Wow.
Like 300.
Holy shit. That's what he just described because he saw 300 also. Because this was written in 2007, which is after that came out. So he's adding to the list. He's like, you know what I really like?
A spear and a shield. That's it.
He's going to talk about, never mind. I was going to get into a whole thing about movies because he could really go down a rabbit hole here with movies. But got to continue this because we're in the middle of this crazy story. So he said that he felt better than sex. He said, nothing I have achieved since that moment even comes close to the feeling of power and strength I had that night in 1981. I felt like a Roman gladiator. He's got a lot of similes and metaphors and all sorts of shit, who had won his freedom in the arena. However, that was not the end of the battle. Full-scale rioting blew up over the next 9 days. It was, too. It was a battle.
Shit.
In which police used CS gas for the first time in mainland Britain. They'd only used it in Ireland before that. The resulting damage amounted to 468 injured police officers, 500 arrests, and at least 70 buildings that were so fucked up they had to be demolished completely.
Unbelievable.
It was huge. So the way he puts it, though, quote, like a phoenix from the fire, I rose from the ashes of the riots a different man. The first of many epiphanies. It was then that I was reborn the devil, officially.
Now.
Officially the devil from this moment on. I had won the title off a guy called Lloyd Johnson. Okay, apparently it's like the king in wrestling. You can win the title.
If you like the nickname, you got to kill the guy that has it.
You got to take it from him.
That's what boxing should be.
Really? Why not just be...
You got to kill Ray.
Just make a little thing. Like in The Sopranos in the beginning, remember they were trying to kill pussy, but not that pussy. They were trying to kill little pussy, not big pussy.
Not our pussy.
Not our pussy. So that's what I mean. Maybe they just need, maybe there's devil. Maybe you'll be like little devil, or you could be like big
cake.
Devil. You could be like black devil. He could be like this devil. You could like, you know what I mean? You mix it up a little bit. There could be a lot of devils in the world. You don't have to fight over the
you could be
title.
Dust Devil. You could be anything.
There's a ton of them, man. It's the Red Devil, the Dust Devil. It's
Tasmanian,
tons of them.
for Christ's sake.
Tasmanian Devil. There's so many devils out there. He said, you could be a devil dog. We don't know. He said, after the smoking ruins and tensions of the post-riot landscape, he had abused my sister in the street because he thought she was white.
You can't beat Helen like that.
So, a different sister, I think.
Oh, okay.
Helen, he'd probably be like,
that shit.
Kick her fucking ass, isn't it? Yeah. How you like that, Helen? Yeah, all right. All right, Helen. Take it.
Better hit her harder. She can take a punch.
She can give it. We know that. So, he said that he's going to fight this guy. Me and my brother rounded their whole family up, and I presented Lloyd the Devil Johnson to her, like a dog at her feet. I told him to kiss her feet and apologize. So it was from that day on that the name the Devil passed from him to me. He was evil and dark, but now I was the new king of hell. That's
fascinating, man.
Power, determination, and control would be my watchwords from then on. He said, at the same time as being christened the devil, which I love putting those words, christened the devil is hilarious. I took it upon myself to adopt a poor orphan child and brought him up as my own. That has to be from a movie,
What?
right? He took in a poor orphan child. Is there a karate movie like a Van Damme movie, I think, where he was taken in and taught karate by some master? I think it's a Van Damme movie.
I see The Blind Side.
Yeah, maybe. I think that was later, though.
She brought him in and taught him to be a warrior on the field.
Yeah, but now this is more about him than the baby.
Oh, okay. I mean, it was more about her, too.
The baby's name was Danny, and his dad, a wanted man, had been forced to flee abroad after the riots. Wow. Later on, his dad was killed in tragic circumstances, so I vowed to look after his son as if he were my own. That's some martial arts movie bullshit.
I don't know.
We fought together in a great battle, and then, when the Shogun tried to hunt him down, finally they killed him in the streets, and I vowed to raise him as my own so he could avenge his father's death of the Shogun. And that's a fucking kung fu movie, dude. That's ridiculous.
Kiss Converse.
This is crazy. The riots were a big deal too. They were a big deal. So he put himself right on he thinks he's British Forrest Gump, I figure, at this point.
That's what it is.
Anytime there's a historical thing, you can just Photoshop him into it, just standing there, just like, I was there, isn't it? See me? Just, hi.
I was the one that started Brexit.
Drinking Dr. Pepper. Yeah. He was sitting around with like Boris Johnson going, this fucking Euro's a bitch, isn't it? It's just, we should all be in it together. I mean, why? Let's be and that's it. Done.
Let's do it all on our own, eh?
Done. So, anyway, he said that he was in, Jesus Christ, so he's deciding to be in these groups of things he's going to do. He decides to rob banks for a minute here because, that's where the money is.
Take it easy, man.
So he said the first one, four or five of us went into a bank armed with pickaxe handles.
Just axe handles.
I love the weapons over. See, this is so much better. Whips and pickaxe handles and curtain rods and shit. This is awesome. This is fucking entertaining.
It is,
I love it. I don't even think we had a gun. We went in masked up and wearing balaclavas and boiler suits, smashed the counters and robbed the money in broad daylight. Game over. Now, during that type of job, I always made sure I had a little trick up my sleeve, literally. I wore a jogger's kit underneath my overalls, shorts, a vest, and a pair of trainers. It was a simple stunt that saved my bacon on many occasions. That way you can pull all your shit off.
Yeah.
And you're a different-looking guy. Yeah. As we got into the car and pulled away from the scene, a police car suddenly appeared behind us.
Uh-oh.
But it was just a coincidence, and they had no idea what they had stumbled into. All of a sudden, people in the street who had just watched us run out of the bank started making signs to the policemen in the car to try to get their attention. They were pointing at us and shouting, "Get them! They've just robbed a bank."
It's the guys dressed like nuns. It's now the town.
Shut the fuck up, man. Yeah, it's now the town. Exactly. I was going to say they changed into clown costumes, and it's now quick change. And now they're Bill Murray. That's what's happened. Because it's a bank. So he said the alarms were going, and there were five gangsters with masks on in a high-performance car. The chorus of "Have a Go" heroes who wanted to get us nicked had now reached a crescendo. 20 people were now shouting, "They've just robbed a bank." Everybody escaped, and we all got about 20,000 pounds in the robbery, 4,000 pounds each. The story of the job was even on the telly, which was always a buzz. Yeah, you see it on TV. It described how we had all escaped, how much money we'd nicked, and how daring the raid had been, and how close the police had come to catching us. It was a great thing at the time. If you were a firm to appear on TV for something you'd done. Well, yeah, if you're a gangster, you want to see your work. We would all sit down afterwards, watch it, and have a good laugh, and say to each other, "Yeah, that's our graft. We actually make the news in our graft." So, yeah. Now, kickboxing. He's kickboxing at this point. That's going to be his main bread and butter here. Well, not for money, but for sports. He said that, this is from his book, he was first British champion and then won a European title. And I know that title coming up here. He said, quote, "I was using a technique called visualization to devastating effect."
What does that mean?
The first time I came across it was in 1977 when I was listening to an interview with Wimbledon tennis champ Bjorn Borg. He said, Before I start the tournament, I see myself lifting the Wimbledon shield. It's a lot of athletes do that bullshit. Right. See yourself winning. Right. Yeah. I look in my mind and visualize myself being a champion on center court. I was like, wow, fucking powerful stuff, man. Powerful stuff. Those are his words. He said, I robbed his idea and envisioned becoming the British champion. I fought a guy called Nick North in Manchester for the title and battered him. To this day, he's never forgiven me. Well, it's a tournament. Later on, I won my European title in Athens against a German guy called Carols. I had also pictured that victory clearly in my mind before making it an actuality. He said, as a Kizuna Knight and a member of the Kizuna Brotherhood, I and my fellow knights had been entrusted with the preservation of our master's legacy, and I was fortunate enough to receive my master's samurai sword.
Okay.
You live in Britain, bro, in a fucking, like, you know what I'm saying? You have a kid and shit. Worry more about that. So he also said that he was getting into the drug game at this point, too. Why not, right? Yeah. Fuck it. He said that a guy called Robin came to see him, saying that he had a kilo of coke stolen from him. Sorry, he didn't have a kilo of coke. A kilo was stolen from him by a black guy in our community called Randy. Randy the black guy. That's what we know him as at this point. Which is not a ton of black guys named Randy, Randy's a pretty white guy name.
Yeah. Randy Moss.
Randy Jackson, Randy Moss. Yeah. Randy Moss is from West Virginia, though, so that explains a lot there. But it's a lot. You say Randy, you picture... how you doing? I'm Randy. Randy Macho Man Savage. Randy Travis. You picture white guy, fucking hair, beard.
Yeah.
Hi. Randy here. At least a mustache. Something going on.
I feel like there's a lot of country singers who change their name from Randy to something a little more Southern.
They're like, I mean, there's just too many Randys is the problem. That's it right there. You know, you can't be Garth nothing. You know, that's the same thing. It's just don't work for me. So, he said, though, they had him stolen. He said, Andrew and I fought Randy at his mother's house. Well, he and his buddy Andrew went to Randy's mom's house and beat him up there. He said he'd gotten high on his own supply, been too fucked to sell the stolen kilo, and hadn't made much damage to it. There was still 35 ounces left.
Jesus.
It's like half.
He did a lot.
It's only a little more than half. Yeah. That's
he did plenty.
That's what I mean. 2.2 pounds is a kilo. So 35 ounces, an ounce is 28 ounces, or a pound is 28 ounces. So it's not, there's a lot gone. He said,
pound is 16, isn't it?
16. What are we talking about? No, grams in an ounce. Grams in an ounce is 28. Ounces in a pound. Sorry, I don't know what I just said there. Said that backwards. So
that conversion.
Yeah, I was like, what happened there? And when you said it, I was like, what did I just say? So he said we still had 35 ounces left, so we just took it back off of him.
Okay.
He said the guy, Robin, was so happy when he called with the good news. He said, but yeah, good news is I got it back for you. Bad news is I'm keeping half as my payment.
Oh.
So that's how it works. He said the guy said, no, well, look, that wasn't what I intended to give you. And he said, well, tough shit. That's what I'm taking. I don't know what to
tell you. That's what it costs.
And he said, I was going to give you 10 grand for getting it. So I was going to give you 10 grand.
Is that worth it?
Well, the Coke is worth more. So that's why.
Yeah.
But he said, when he said this to me, I nearly fell over. I put my hand over the receiver and said to Andrew, quote, we're keeping half this stuff and he thinks we're taking too much, but he's prepared to give us 10 grand for it. So he's like, half of that shit is worth more than 10 grand. This is a score. They didn't know. Right. They just didn't know how much this shit was worth. He said, only then did the figures start to compute in my brain. 10 grand probably didn't even cover half the amount we had. He said, told his friend, we got to find out what this shit's worth and do it the right way. He said at the time, he didn't understand how much money was involved in drugs. He was so concentrated on
just making everything,
robbing and kickboxing that he didn't realize that that's a big deal. Gee, wonder what everybody's been doing in America for the last 25 fucking years. He said that he didn't know what the value of cocaine was, and he said that he was a member of the English karate team. He didn't drink or smoke. He was an athlete. He didn't know anything about drugs, basically. He knew street shit, but not drugs. So anyway, he turns to an old friend of his to value the drugs. What's this worth? Turns it over to old Curtis Warren.
Oh,
old butter hips himself over here. Curtis Warren. And he'd just been released from prison for holding up a security van, so that's nice.
Yeah. Still on that side of the law.
Yeah, he said that while he'd been in prison, though, he became friends with a huge major gangster there.
Yeah.
So he said that this guy's name was Callum, was his last name. He said Callum was from a dynasty of traditional gangsters who owned a snooker hall and gym. Yeah, all your gangsters own snooker halls in the U.S., right? John Gotti was famous for his snooker halls, I feel like. There's a lot of them in here.
Snooker's like a ball game, right?
It's a ball, some kind of ball game. It's a heavy ball is all I know.
Yeah.
I picture bocce, but I know that's not what it is.
That's what I was saying,
You know
too.
what I mean? I picture bocce, yeah. So he said that this guy was invested heavily in drugs and all this sort of shit. So he said Curtis was just starting out then, but he was told them that the kilo was worth about $1,000 an ounce. So altogether, you got about $35,000 worth of shit here if you broke it up and sold it.
Yeah.
So they were like, okay. So they called their boy back there, and they're like, listen, $10,000 is what you want to give us. He said that, tell you what we're going to do. From now on, we're your unofficial partners.
Okay.
He said, we got your shit back for you. You wouldn't even have it at all if it wasn't for us because you couldn't get it on your own. So said, whatever you're getting for it, we're having half. We're not looking to do anything bad like kill you, but next time you get one, we'll come with you as your partners and make sure you don't get robbed. So he just muscled in on him and said, I'm the muscle.
I'm part of this, right?
You're paying protection, basically, in terms and the price of I'm your partner. That's the thing. Which, if you're a drug dealer, you should have a muscle half of your organization. If
Probably
you're
a good idea, yeah.
If you're going to sell weight and cocaine,
yeah,
you got to have some muscle arm of this whole thing, or you're just going to get robbed constantly. That's all that's going to happen. So that's really stupid. He said that deep down, I think Robin was just happy to have two good enforcers on his side who weren't looking to rip him off or do anything bad to him. So it's better off this way. He said, so now word started to spread that they are, the new business in town is providing protection for drug dealers. So now he's a reverse Omar. So he knows where Omar's coming from, so now he's going to be a reverse Omar. He said they would help out all the time. Drug dealers would flock to us saying, so-and-so robbed this off me, all these kilos, this person, can you get it back? One of my distributors took 5 kilos and didn't give me the money. Can you recover the money? Like he became a debt collector almost type of thing, but on the street. So he said that they started making a shitload of money off of this. They started making a ton of money. And then they realized we could make even more money. What if we became more proactive? Like Robin's problem. It happened and it involved them and it was existing drugs and all that sort of thing. But why not go out there and generate our own business, he says. Why not simply just rob the drug dealers?
So now
he goes, why not use extreme violence to make them give us our drugs and money? He goes, they're not going to go snitch on us. Where the fuck are they going to go? They stole 10 kilos from me. No one's going to do that. So, which is something people figured out long ago. That's why drug dealing is dangerous. More than the cops, more than anything else, it's people try to fucking rob you constantly because you have all the drugs and money. So it's just a thing.
You have all the drugs and money and you can't call anybody for help.
That's it. We were just talking about Goodfellas before the show because Paul Sorvino died, and we were talking about Paul Sorvino and the scene when they're zooming in on him when he's eating the sausage and peppers. He goes, that's what it's about. It's the police department for wise guys. They protection for people who can't go to the cops. So if you had these guys robbing you, you'd go to Paulie and go, these guys are robbing me, and Paulie would go, don't fucking rob them, and they wouldn't rob you. That's how it worked. So anyway, instead, he's out here doing this because they need more Italians in England, apparently, to be the middlemen here.
It's closer
to be the mafia
here.
to go, hey, I'll protect you over here a little bit. They just didn't have enough Italians in the mix, I don't think, here to fill out the whole picture is what I'm talking about. You guys have like 2/3 of it, but you're missing a part. He said he calls them taxations, taking the drug dealers' money. He said, my first taxation was on a heroin dealer called Brian Wagner from the Everton area of Liverpool. Me and my mate Marcellus, now he's seen Pulp Fiction.
He has.
He actually describes later on how he would get pumped up, and he said it was, you'd get pumped up beforehand, kind of get into a good character. He said it was like John Travolta and Samuel Jackson going up to the door talking about Big Macs and shit.
Yeah.
That wasn't pumping up. He missed the whole point. The whole point of that was they weren't talking about the murder they were going to. crazy shit they were going to do.
Casual.
Mad
and they're
casual.
about to just open 4 men in a hotel room.
They do this so often they're not even nervous about it. They're talking about Big Macs and fucking Whoppers.
Eating pussy.
And eating pussy and touching feet.
Right.
So he said that this was a big deal. Basically, he said that they took him and his friend Marsalis conned this guy into thinking that they wanted to purchase 10 kilos from him. Okay, which is about $250,000 wholesale.
Okay.
So the guy, he said, invited them to his mother's house to do the deal. So he said he took us right up to his bedroom. This guy has tens of kilos of coke in his childhood bedroom. This is pathetic. He said, though, we took us up to his bedroom and as though we were going to listen to pop records. I quickly came to realize that the majority of drug dealers weren't very smart guys. They'd put their most valued narcotics in their own house under their own mother's bed. How fucking daft is that? I would say so.
Yeah.
He said, I sat on his bed while he took out a blue Puma sports bag from his wardrobe and laid it on the Liverpool FC quilt next to me. Then he showed us a packet of the gear containing about 5 kilos. I said, well, that's nice, but where's the rest? He shrugged his shoulders and said that he couldn't show us the other 5 kilos. So I pulled a gun on him and pistol whipped him across the mouth. Well, that'll do it. I mean,
did they show up?
Try that on the sales floor. Do you have this model in black? Pow! Oh, never mind. Yeah, you do. I guess you do. He knew that this was no run-of-the-mill sale. He was bleeding, saying he didn't have any more kilos. So I put the gun in his mouth and said, tell me where it is, prick, or I'll put your brains out all over that Pink Floyd poster on the wall. All over your fucking Blacklight poster, goddammit. Your Led Zeppelin 4 Blacklight poster is going to get it, bitch. He said he mumbled some bullocks about no more gear, so I rammed the end of the barrel further into his mouth, smashing his teeth. Meanwhile, his mum was shouting up the stairs, do you want a cup of tea, lads? She didn't know what was going on, and there was no getting out, and she was getting out the chocolate hobnobs for her visitors. No thanks, Mrs. Wagner, I said politely, pushing the gun further down her son's throat. Then I said to Wagner, if you don't fucking tell me, I'll do your fucking ma as well as you fat cunt. So I'll kill your mother, too. With that, he loosened up a little bit. I've got it stashed close by, he admitted. He said, good lad, I said, putting the gun back in my pocket, like you see in the old films during a stick-up. He said, I marched him out of the house. However, as we were leaving, his mom spotted the blood from where I just hit him. She said, what's happened, Brian? Are you all right, son? Fair play to the lad. He just smiled and replied, we're just messing about, Mom. Don't worry. Just wrestling and boxing and that. I'm only going to the car to get plasters. I'll be back in a minute. Put the kettle on. I'm going to get Band-Aids. I'll be ready for tea when I get back. This is the most English drug robbery of all time. There's mums and tea involved.
Yeah.
How
He made himself.
How many drug robberies are there? Your mum and some tea involved in it?
He's now made himself Bullet Tooth Tony and Snatch.
That too. Yeah, he's got that. He's adding to his list of films.
Do me a favor.
He said, we all smiled, thanked her for her hospitality, and got into the car to go find the goods. However, I had one golden rule once I got the drugs. I wasn't fucking giving them back.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, these are mine now.
Why take them if you're going to give them back? A lot of taxmen had come to grief by being too keen to undo their own hard work. They'd steal a load of gear, but then cave into underworld pressure and end up giving it all back. He took it from somebody else comes to him, hey, that's a friend of mine, don't do that.
No way to run a business.
Fuck them all. He said the victims used to send emissaries, mates of mates and all of that lark to talk to the taxman around, or if that failed, to threaten him. But me, no. You could send who you wanted. The SAS, the fucking SS, led by the Mujahideen. But if you were not fucking getting it back. So...
He's saying send Al-Qaeda and fucking Hitler?
Send the SS and Al-Qaeda and it's fine. I'm still not giving you shit back. You'd have to snatch it from my cold, dead corpse. And this wasn't just for effect or theatricality. This was the God's honest truth. Even if a victim tried to get their gear back, the chances were they wouldn't be able to find me. Nobody knew my address. I had no credit cards, no back cards. The CIA couldn't trace me. Now he's seen Goodfellas.
Yeah.
I had no driver's license, no this, no that. I never filed taxes. My birth certificate and my arrest record. The only things you'd know around to know I was alive.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
Or it's heat. Leave nothing around you that you can't drop in 5 minutes.
It's the way he put it, though, sounded like it was Henry Hill saying that.
He has seen so many movies, and they all influence his story.
Absolutely. Like, it might be true, but he's definitely influencing or infusing a bit of it. He's making like fusion food is what he's doing. Like, this is my story. I did this. Let's fuse it with Goodfellas or Pulp Fiction or Snatch or Forrest Gump.
He's more of a cinephile than Michael Bolton.
He is. That's what he's doing. He's pulling off like a fucking Jack Sparrow thing here. Keira Knightley. He's pulling it off. I love that so much. Her womb is polluted. That's the best line. That's fucking hilarious. Got a basehead wife, her womb is polluted. That is right out of the movie and hilarious. So he decides at this point, what do you think he's going to do, Jimmy? He's 25. What do you think he's going to do from here? What's his goal now?
Win an Academy Award.
You know what? That's close. And later on, he's going to come. You're not far off. He decides, I'm going back to school. I'm going to college.
Yeah.
Of course.
Still in school.
Why not? No. School. So now he's seen back to school, I feel like. Yeah. He brought his dad, who was, now on the run from something else, some gray-haired guy who is now, weirdly enough, become a magnate of large men's clothing. And he's decided that he wants to attend school with his son, so they're going to do that.
Pull off that triple Lindy.
That's it. And his dad became star of the diving team. It was amazing. So, back to school. He said he passed his access course, and in September 85, he won a place at Liverpool University to study psychology. He said, in the back of my mind, I'd hoped I could give up crime one day and get a decent job. Yeah. In the meantime, though, he's not. He said, by day I went to lectures and sat in the library with blonde girls from the home countries. At night, the devil would come out to play. Technically, you could say I was leading a triple life as I was still training hard as a kickboxer. I won my first world title at the Wembley Conference Center on November 25th, 1985. I was the light middleweight supreme champion of all 4 million members of the World All Styles Kickboxing Association.
Wow.
That
4
sounds like a
members.
lot.
He's number one?
Number one. I was the only world champion the university has ever had, and they went They went cock-a-hoop over it. That's why I took a second, because I'm like, what is cock-a-hoop? That is very British. Putting me in the campus newspapers. Well, if that's cock-a-hoop, if I've ever heard anything cock-a-hoopy.
I guess they go out of control for him?
Yeah, they go buck wild, I think that is. Yeah.
They're going bug house for him.
Bug house, bitches. Hell yeah. You got to get Patreon for that. So November 1986 is the WAKO European Championships. This is the kickboxing championships. It's the 8th European Kickboxing Championships hosted by the WAKO, and it was open to amateur men and women based in Europe, with each country only allowing one competitor per weight division. So the styles were on offer were full contact and semi-contact. So, so here we go. Semi-contact is his thing that he does here. They say it differs from full contact in that fighters were won by giving points due to technique, skill, and speed, with physical force limited. So you're more going for hitting.
Style,
and more information on Okay, never mind. So there we go. There was 4 weight divisions, I guess, altogether. In the 79 kilogram division, Steve French won the gold medal. Wow. It's fucking Wikipedia and everything, and everywhere else too. You could find it, but I mean, he beat Andreas Lindemann, I think, from Germany here, and then the bronze medal went to Basilio Basili from Italy. That's a great name. That is awesome.
2 pastas.
I'm a Basil. That's nice to meet you. All right. Hello. So anyway, there we go. He's such a good, apparently, martial artist. He is inducted into the Martial Arts Hall of Fame in 2015 later on. Well into his more shit. He was a British, European, and world champion. English karate team. Tiki Donovan was his coach there. Represented England and Great Britain all over the world. Won individual and team gold in the home internationals. Numerous regional and individual team titles for a 15-year period of competing from 1978 to 1993. That's from an article about him that somebody did. So he says that he opened up a sports management company after that called Ware Promotions. So he said, between a business to manage, drug dealers to rob, and training to do, he said, he found himself too busy to even go to classes.
I can't imagine.
He said, finally, when it came to his finals, he terrorized the lecturer into telling him what the questions on the exam would be. Psychological intimidation, the art of fighting without fighting, he called it. So that way he could pass his exams.
I just cheated.
He cheated. Basically, yeah. In 1988, I graduated with a 2.2. Not bad. Although I was the only one out of 40 students to get a full degree, I still couldn't get a job. So I'm going to say Grace. Let's say Grace. He's won world titles. He's got a degree. He bullied himself into a degree.
He's got a degree in psychology.
Exactly. So he said that he's going to open up a security business supplying doormen to nightclubs. So he said then doing that opened up a mass market for him to sell narcotics because that's the perfect guy. Yeah. He's standing at the door, literally people handing him things and him handing it back to them all fucking night long. He said direct to the consumer, he could do it. He said he would work front of house and he would control the supply into the clubs. Yeah. One of these was a bar, it was a nightclub called the Grafton. He said, so I quote, forcibly took the door off the gangsters who had it. So, yeah, it was like a consent. Basically, and the mob used to have that in all the bars in New York back in the day. In the nightclubs, you had the bouncer concession, and they would bring their guys in to be the bouncers, and then that way they could charge whatever they want to get in. They could skim, they could sell drugs, they could rob people, they could do whatever the fuck they want. That's part of it.
Contractor. Yeah.
It's a contract. So he said that the underworld didn't like an N-word getting uppity, so the threat of war went to DEFCON 1. To defend the club, I installed the fiercest crew on this planet at maximum force readiness. We had Stephen French, which is him, British, European, and world. He's giving all their resumes here, too. World kickboxing champion. Andrew John of the British karate team. Jack Percival, Commonwealth boxing gold medalist. Brian Schumacher, captain of the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics British boxing team. Sidney Bulwark, an infamous local boxer, but a terrible bore. Do we need to know that?
Awful storyteller.
Just a shit guy. He's really boring. Aldous Pello, a former British Army boxing team, Big Victor, a real heavy street fighter, and Jerry the Gent, the nicest guy you could ever meet, but a vicious cunt once he's ever had one over the night. So, yeah. Get a drink in him, vicious cunt.
Yeah. Wasn't that Jimmy the Gent? Wasn't that his name?
Jimmy the Gent, yeah. Jimmy Conway.
And he was
or
a bad
Jimmy
fucking
Burke
guy.
in real life, yeah. Jerry the Gent, Jimmy the Gent, absolutely. Which, honestly, there was probably a lot of that going on after Goodfellas of people.
Probably, yeah.
White guys naming themselves something the Gent after that. So next up is a story about robbing a drug dealer. This is fucking harrowing. This is horrifying. Okay. Let's start out. This is all him. Quote, "The Tefal steam iron was red hot as I pressed it hard onto the top of the man's back just below his shoulder.
Oh, my God.
He jolted violently, but the silver duct tape wrapped around his mouth muffled his screams. I gave him a squeeze of steam from the power jets just for good measure.
It's a clothing iron, for God's sake.
The acrid fumes of burning flesh whooshed around the basement room, carried by the plumes of vaporized water, tinged by the sulfur-like smell of charred hair. There were pools of piss, shit, and blood already on the floor, so it didn't really matter. Yet the victim still refused to give up the location of his drugs or money. Wow. I temporarily removed his gag, and he blabbered that he didn't have the goods. But when I put the gag back on, he begged for mercy using his eyes and hands. Or his hands and eyes, yeah. The man taped to the chair in front of me was one of Britain's top drug dealers, worth between 30 and 40 million pounds. Wow.
Yeah.
He boasted about fearing no man and was responsible for the murder of many, mainly his enemies, during his underworld reign. Amongst his peers and rivals alike, he was feared like a death camp commandant and revered like a dictator. No one had ever dared to touch him. Me, personally, I couldn't give two hoots. Okay? So, he said 40 minutes earlier, my partner Marcellus and I had burst in to his place, a Spartan suburban mansion in a commuter town just outside London. Our aim was to tax the drug dealer, that is, to steal his drugs and money. Mucus now dripped from the man's bloody nose, and the detritus of kidnap and torture soiling his Lacoste t-shirt and pastel blue tennis shorts. Wow. This guy writes some violent poetry, this author here. The steel plate of his wife's state-of-the-art iron was now smeared with the smudgy brown mess of burned human matter, mostly skin and follicle.
Damn it. Oh, gross.
That is so fucking gross. Using the same controlled monotone voice, which I had learned from the psychological warfare manuals now used in Guantanamo Bay and Abu Ghraib, I whispered into the Godfather's ear, "Tell me where the pound notes are, and I'll turn the iron off. You'll never see me again." But he refused to play ball, shaking his head desperately. There followed a few seconds of struggle, while Marcellus kicked the chair backwards and wrestled the detainee's shorts and his underwear off.
Oh, no.
Within the same motion, I thrust the near-melted hot Tefal onto his naked bollocks.
Oh, God.
Ramming it home hard for full effect, following it through with multiple blasts of steam.
God damn it, all over his dick.
Oh, my. Within 2 hours, I was on my way back to Liverpool with 320,000 pounds in the boot of my Lexus and 20 kilos of cocaine secreted at a safe house in East London. Before I left the drug dealer's mansion, however, I wasn't able to resist going back for the biggest thrill of all.
What was that?
As he lay semi-conscious on the floor, coated with a thin film of vomit and bile, I wanted to call it, I lifted his head and looked into his defeated and terrified eyes. Now I would show him just how bad I really was. I took my balaclava off. His eyes screamed in horror as he recognized my features. "Yes," I told him, "you've just been taxed by the devil. I really do exist. Now what the fuck are you going to do about it?" He said, "In my game, revealing your identity to a victim was a cardinal sin, but I couldn't resist this encore, showing him who had done this to him, challenging him to seek revenge. Of course, I knew that he never would. I was just testing myself, and with that, I disappeared into the night. Now he's Batman."
Also in the town.
Yeah, there's in every fucking movie.
Remember,
The
I've
Town.
seen yours too. It's the same shit.
You may know who we are, but we know who you are. It's
Yeah.
Goodfellas. It's every fucking gangster movie that's ever been put out. It's all it is. Literally
crazy.
everything. Yeah.
He's not done a single thing original. Except for it is clever to be steam ironing somebody's dick. That's certainly I don't think I've ever heard that.
No. I mean, if you told this to an author and the author was like taking, putting it into his own words, and he was a little hacky, that's probably how he would do it, I would think, right?
Probably, yeah.
He'd just make it sound as much like familiar things that you think are cool. So here are his rules of taxation. He's got instructional sections too here. This is Satanic Verses, Rules and Politics of Taxing, this is called.
Yeah.
If you are a tax accountant, you might join a professional body such as the Chartered Institute of Taxation. They have rules to keep budding taxmen in line, such as client confidentiality. However, if you're going to become a successful taxman in the drugs world, you must learn the following. Whoa, boy. The Code of Conduct for the Stephen French Foundation of Tax Studies. This is funny. That's what he puts in.
Yeah.
That's what the guy put in there. Rule 1, never tax the same person twice.
Oh?
Makes sense. If you tax a man once, he can wear it. He may well put it down to experience, an occupational hazard, a necessary evil. However, if you tax him a second time, he will get angry, and it's human nature that he will seek revenge. When Omar kept robbing Avon Barksdale, he had to come back at him. He had to find him because he was fucking making a fool of him after a while. This is because a frightened man is a dangerous man, and if you tax him twice, he's going to think to himself, every time Frenchie is skint, he's going to take my money. I don't know what that means. That's very British. You'll force him into taking some action against you. I had the monologue to deal with this. I've taken the goods from you, but you have nothing to fear from me ever again. Even if somebody asks me to do something against you in the future, I'll have to tell them that I can't do it because we have a history, that I've already done something to you, and I don't want to evoke feelings of fear or panic. You just had an iron on a guy's balls, and then you told him that? So my advice, Jay, I don't want you to have any fear or panic here, buddy. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable.
You looked in his eyes and saw both of those.
Shit. So my advice to you is to wear this tax like a shirt that doesn't fit and just get on with your life.
Okay.
Take the L is what he's saying here. He said the psychology behind this rule goes back centuries to Machiavelli. He said that men would often put up with great tragedies befalling them. Nevertheless, the same men would explode with unpredictable fucking ferocity if you managed to slight them in the smallest possible way, and as a result would spend the rest of their lives seeking revenge. This is what my victims would see a second tax as, a slight against their honor, dignity, and self-respect. Makes sense? Rule 2, never chase dead money. Dead money is simply cash that is difficult to retrieve. The best tax is when you get the goods first time, often by surprise. But if you learn of a particularly big stash and you go after it and fail, write it off. Don't bother going back for it because you'll be in a nest of vipers. Remember, it's only your greed that won't allow you to go. It's only your greed that won't allow you to go. If it's dead money, it's likely you could die in the process of going back for it. Smart. 3, never give the goods back once you've stolen them. Well, what's the point of that? This seems pretty self-explanatory. However, after you've taxed someone, 101 reasons to give the stolen goods back might present themselves. For instance, the gangster you know might also be mates with the victim, and he'll come lobbying to get the gear back on behalf of his pal. Or the victim and his allies might kidnap one of your gang and hold them for ransom until the goods are restored. Nevertheless, no matter what shit comes your way, you must hold firm because them's your wages. So, doesn't matter. Be like Stalin, basically. If they take your son, go, I don't care, kill him, and fucking hang up the phone. So, rule 4, never tax someone you know. Yeah, I've been saying this for 1 minute, and he also heard the second Biggie album here. He's like, he's got the 10, instead of the 10 crack commandments, he's got the 10 tax commandments. He's got the 10 tax commandments.
He is a media and just consumer.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not even saying for 1 minute that you do it deliberately. Sometimes it might be done by pure accident. For instance, you might not know when you tax someone that the gear is owned by a mystery third person in the background who might turn out to be someone you know. Or you might be giving some some duff into the ID of your intended victim, and when you attack the feller, he turns out to be an associate. If so, you have to make amends. Crossing the line on this one can literally lead to murder. Can't rob your friends. Yeah, that's bad. Rule 5, never leave physical evidence on the victim. Well, no shit.
Yeah, clearly.
Following a nice touch, the difference between jail and a 15,000-pound holiday in St. Lucia can be as minute as a molecule. Don't leave any DNA on the victim. And remember, injuries are the most compelling evidence in court.
Yes.
So that means kill them, but don't hurt them.
Yeah.
But don't leave any DNA. There are 2 other legal factors related to this rule, both of which are vital to the tax man. Police intelligence and police corruption, the 2 being interrelated. It's not what the police know, it's what they can prove. All villains are aware of this. My police intelligence file consists of at least 4 to 5 boxes of shit that police claim I've been involved in. Nevertheless, it doesn't fucking matter because none of it can be proven. The important fact is that my actual police record is only a sheet long. So, from 4 or 5 boxes of crime, they have only ever managed to boil it down to 1 sheet's worth of convictions. That's because I make it a top priority to never leave physical evidence behind. Now, police intelligence can work for you or against you, and this is where the police corruption comes in. For £1,500, I could find out what sort of investigations were going on in relation to me during my taxing days, especially out of one particular policy and station in Liverpool. That's the truth. They used to pay off, mob guys paid off cops all the time just to know what was happening.
Sure.
Who was being investigated, when indictments were coming down, all that shit. So here's some other rules here. Choose your victims carefully, Rule A. Don't prey on a criminal organization that's bigger than yours. In the jungle, you won't see a lion trying to feed on a rhino. Do you get me? As a tax man, you look for an antelope that's come into the wrong part of the jungle or one who's come to the water hole to feed. If you want to be involved in the nefarious world of drug taxing, you've got to make sure that you can hold your own. Fair enough. B, draw up clear lines of demarcation in your business plan. It sounds like he's going to run a fucking food truck. Like, this is... One day I might be taxing someone, the next I'd be doing a legitimate drug deal with some proper dealers. But don't chop and change and confuse one with the other. Get this in your head. If you're doing a deal, do a deal. Don't suddenly think I'm going to tax this person because you're getting greedy. People will soon stop doing business with you, and your rep will suffer at the hands of the office politicians.
Yeah, because people talk.
Office gossip, he said,
Yes.
basically. Drug dealers have office gossip. In these kinds of situations, it was useful to have a good checker. A checker was a kind of bodyguard come middleman come referee who made sure that a drug deal went well between 2 parties who did not know each other well and had yet to build up trust. Everybody and his brother wanted to sell drugs, but you needed a good checker to make sure that you didn't descend into anarchy. C, guard your reputation with your life. This is Law 5 in the 48 Laws of Power, one of my favorite books. You've got to build your rep as a tax man with fear and violence, and then you've got to defend it. What I'm talking about here are the everyday slights made by your coworkers designed to undermine your power. Everyone will understand what I mean when I say gossip is the devil's radio. Mm-hmm. Oh, boy. Don't let anyone say a fucking word. Jesus. D, never show fear in front of the lads.
Yeah, you gotta look the part.
Look tough. If you crumble on the job, the lads will laugh at you. They'll say things like, go and get the piece of wood out of that skip and strap it to your back. Get some backbone, lad, if you want to get involved with the graft. There was a rice mill near the docks, and they'd say, if your arse is going to go get a job in the rice mill and hump bags, don't sell drugs. My fear was always under control, but I watched many fall by the wayside by lacking a good pair of town halls. Okay.
I don't know what that means.
Balls.
Oh, got it. Okay.
A town hall is a ball, apparently. I guess there's a lot of potential people in there, I suppose. Yeah. So, E, the last one, it's not all about race. That's his last one. The reason why I was always taxing white geezers was because I didn't really know any white people, and this made them practical risk-free targets. Sure, it also made it easier for me to make them suffer, as I didn't trust any white geezers in the first place. I was brought up not to like Johnnies, as in John Bull the Englishman. However, later in life, my opinion changed. Mm-hmm. So, eventually, he gets caught for this, and he's sent to prison.
Yeah, right.
Somebody turns him in, obviously, okay?
Your life is never your career in this. It's never that long. You got a shelf life, and it's based on if you keep doing it, people are going to hate you. And
someone's going to turn you in eventually.
Yeah, it's going to come to you.
You're going to get pulled over and have a shitload of guns on you and some coke. He said he went to prison. He said, I kept my head down and didn't mention that I was a world-class kickboxer and definitely didn't mention I was the devil. That's probably for the best.
I don't kickbox, and I got no horns nor tail.
Normal guy. He said, however, some inmates took my low-key demeanor as a sign of weakness. I'm a big athletic man. The claustrophobia of prison soon started to wear me down. My only escape was the visits. One day, my mom came to see me. Other times, other people came to see him. One particular day, he got a very different kind of visitor that he was not expecting. He thought it was going to be his mom or, one of his lads or something like that. And it wasn't. Instead, it was Vince McMahon, the now former CEO and everything else of WWE. And he said, how is it you've come to arrive here? Yeah. Oh my God. You don't understand. I could use a guy like you. I can. I understand that I don't do the wrestling anymore. No, I don't. Okay, listen, pal. Yeah. I'm doing a different thing now. Okay, that can happen over there, but you are gonna come with me. Put these overalls on. Yeah, there you go. Okay, we're gonna do a different type of thing. It's gonna be in my basement. It's just in my basement.
It's just me and you.
I'm going to round people up, and I'm going to oil them all up, and I'm going to get overalls on them and get their shirts off, and they're just going to grapple for me, and I'm going to call it like an announcer. I'm going to go, oh, God, look at him. Oh, God. And then afterwards, you both pose for me, and then Eiffel Tower me after that. I want it, but that's we'll see how the night goes. But at least do that. No, Dexter doesn't know anything about this. He's in the car sleeping. I told him I was going to get a hamburger, and then I ran down the block and I found your house. Okay, he has no idea. I got to do this quick.
Instead, I'm getting a beefcake.
I'm getting a beefcake. Look at you. Oh God, come with me now. And poof, his head explodes. Rains down 1099s and lawsuits and civil lawsuits. Overalls and bow ties and sexual harassment lawsuits and everything else.
Paternity.
So he said that his mom came and said this will be good for you. And then he took that as like a horrible thing. Even my own mother wants me in jail, he said. Oh, my God, Jesus Christ. But then he said that he got a knock on the door from a cell. He got fucked around by a guard, basically. By a guard. A guard fucked him around a little bit and kind of gave him some shit. So he talked to a friend of his who was a big-time gangster who then talked to the guard, and then the guard kissed his ass from there on, which still goes on in the United States. In that one book, not even in like New York or somewhere like that, in fucking Phoenix, in the Maricopa County fucking jail, the Sean Atwood book that I was reading of him being in there was saying that there was a group of, it was Sammy the Bull's kid and a couple other gangsters. They said they had their own fucking thing. They had food brought in for them by the guards. They could do anything they want. Their cells didn't close and everybody else's did. Like,
holy shit.
They could literally do anything they wanted because they paid the fucking guards off. So, and that happened, that was like 2008.
Sammy's back out.
Oh, I know. He's back out. Yeah.
This was insane.
His son. This was his son that was running shit in the jail there doing his thing. But it's all about money. Because if you have the guards
too, right?
I think so. Who knows?
Got to,
If you have the guards, though, you can do anything you want because
you control everything.
Everyone's terrified of you. The guards can do anything to you. So fuck if you have them on your side. Anyway, this guard, another guard came in and told him that Andrew John had been shot dead in Liverpool.
Oh no.
His buddy Andrew John. And he said he looked at his cellmate and said, "That's my brother." And his cellmate said, "What?" And he said, "That's my brother. He's been shot." So he was very upset. Later on, his actual brothers, or maybe not, maybe his friends, came to see him and visit him. They smuggled in a 2-ounce piece of weed 2 ounces, that's a lot. He can't mean 2 ounces. He has to mean like 2 grams, I would think. 2 ounces is an ounce is a fucking, it doesn't fit in your hand. So
2 gram piece, I can see.
Yeah,
2
that's a couple of joints.
Piece, that's a log.
It's a half of a quarter pound. That's a lot.
That's the biggest butt I've ever seen.
Yeah, so
they work for High Times?
He has to mean that. Well, based on this, he has to mean it. He said, usually, this is a quote, usually I'd have stuck the weed up my arse to get it past the screws, obviously. He said, however, that day, my head was so up my own arse that I simply put the lump in my hand and walked brazenly past the screw. Yeah. He spotted it immediately. What's that? He growled. I told him, I fucking need this. You're not taking it off me. My brother's just been killed, and that's that. He looked at me and could see my head was done in. Go on, he said. You can get through it. You can go through with it just this once. He said he showed me some compassion. I've never forgiven him, or I've never forgotten him for that kindness.
How about that?
That's great. He said, back in my cell, I cut the toes off a sock to make a black armband in remembrance of Andrew. But my God, you couldn't do fuck all in there without some shitbag trying to have a go. As soon as I came out of my cell, one of the inmates started sneering and jeering. What the fuck have you got that on your arm for? He said. I grabbed him by the bottom of his jeans and pounded him with my fists before throwing him off the 4th floor landing.
The bottom? Oh, like it's fucking the ass of his jeans.
Yeah. Luckily, the safety net caught him. There's nets so people can't jump off of those and kill themselves. But he had broken his arm. The screws came for me, but there were no witnesses. Then some of the lads said to the top screw, Frenchie did what he had to do. The other lad was bang out of order. As a result, the matter was dropped and nothing more was said. I wonder if that's how often that's said in American prisons. Yeah. Somebody's been shanked with like a sharpened toothbrush and they're laying there and they go, hey, you know what? I mean, Jesus Christ, that lad was bang out of order. That's what happens. He gets stabbed with a sharpened toothbrush. Now he gets out and he has more busts, obviously. He reconnects with Curtis Warren at this point. And Curtis is arrested and Steven's on his own again. He's dealing drugs. Then he's working collecting debts for cartels and shit like that. Also continues his stealing and robbing and taxing. He gets caught again. This time, he gets caught after on a plane with drugs.
What the fuck, man?
He was trying to import that way. And he says, you have to be quite thick-skinned not to feel embarrassed about being escorted off a plane full of passengers. It's the stereotype of the big black criminal being shackled and led away in front of gossiping, slightly fearful white crowd, loving the drama of it. But I had actually conditioned myself not to care, to keep the focus on my next move. You can't be worrying about what the man in the street thinks about you. Well, not if you're a criminal, no. Mm-hmm. You've got to be thinking about how you're going to get from A to B, and most importantly, how you're going to avoid incarceration. Yeah, that's it. So he was facing 20 years at the time. And he ended up getting a lawyer saying that I've been sent to you by one of your friends. You're going to be going home tonight.
Tonight.
And he said, what are you, out of your fucking mind? He goes, if I'm going home tonight, you can have $1,000 out of the $5,000 that they stole from me, the cops. Mm-hmm. And he said, I didn't know what he had in mind, but he refused the $1,000. He said he flipped through his legal papers and started reading the statements about this whole thing. And he said that he said something with this woman, Mona. He said about the pressing engagement with Mona. After I had burned Mona, we had stolen his Mercedes and driven up to Scotland. During that journey, I got stopped by a police car for speeding. I gave them a false name, Peter Perlow, backed up with a matching ID. Apparently, the copper who had stopped me had said in the statement that the man driving me had a distinguishing mark on his forearm. He'd gotten mixed up. My distinguishing mark is actually on the back of my arm. Uh-huh. He said, so the lawyer told him, when you go upstairs to do the ID in front of the copper, say fuck all and just show them the inside of your forearms, because that's what the report says.
Yeah.
Don't show them the outside. When they ask you to see the outside of your arms, refuse. So he ended up doing that, and it got him off. The guy couldn't identify him, so he ended up not getting in trouble for this shit.
Trying to bring up the scar of when he got stabbed, when he's blocked his own throat?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It's not on the inside. You're a liar.
Fuck yeah. Now, Curtis Warren, he goes on to say, this is later on in an interview, he says, we are from the same hood, but I was a man to be feared, whereas Curtis was more of a businessman. He came to see me one time and showed me his bank book, and in his bank book, he had 80 million quid. He had 80 million pounds, 80 million fucking pounds in there in his bank.
Account. Yeah.
I said, why are you still doing this? Can't you make a lifestyle for yourself? Can't you retire?
Forever. Yeah.
Forever.
You can.
And he said to me, Steven, what am I going to do? Go home and watch daytime TV? Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever.
I'm a career criminal, and I always will be.
Oh, my God, you idiot.
No, you don't have to be. He said that he spent, basically, Warren's been in and out of prison the whole time.
Yeah.
Steven says, I feel sorry for Curtis. I hope he can have a life when he comes out, because he was in prison at that time. I mean, you feel bad for Curtis for being so dumb, honestly, with all that fucking money. And, Steve, and it's tough. What if Steve has kids? He's had to deal with his kids and all that. I mean, where are his kids in this? I don't hear about family or him doing anything for his family. He's robbing people in and out of prison. I mean, you feel bad for Stephen French Jr., don't you?
A little bit, yeah.
I feel bad for all the Stephen Frenches. I swear to God, not nearly as bad, though, as I feel for these Stephen Frenches. Stephen French, president and CEO at the Sanitary in the Nashville metropolitan area. He went to Southeast Missouri State University.
Yeah.
Stephen French, some dipshit-looking guy on Instagram holding a guitar. This picture was super douchey.
Or a terrible drug trafficker.
One or the other. Stephen French, he's Georgia Tech School of City and Regional Planning, College of Design. He's the professor of City and Regional Planning at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Stephen French, he's an author who wrote Three Rivers, Michigan, some book. I don't know. And then finally, Stephen French, an American actor who does a lot of voice work and shit like that.
A real-life cinephile.
A real-life cinephile. He was on, he did a voice on, he was on The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. He did some stuff like that, Maniac, All My Children, The Michael J. Fox Show, Match Game. He worked on the Match Game as the announcer. He's the announcer. The Match Game with Alec Baldwin, he's the announcer for 5 seasons.
They got 5 seasons out of that shit?
Yeah, those game shows, man, they pump that shit out. 1994, a daughter is born, and he says, it's his an epiphany.
Yeah.
He cannot be the devil anymore.
Yeah, I gotta change it up.
Can't be the devil with a daughter, I guess.
No.
That's not how it works there. So he's like, how could I do that? He said that from a moral point of view, how could I be responsible for misery and deaths and drugs and all this type of shit? He said it was a true epiphany. It's the only way I can describe it. I was filled up with warmth, love, and happiness. A single tear rolled down my left cheek. It was kind of sentimental and fuzzy. It was fuzzy-wuzzy.
Was a bear.
The devil just said fuzzy wuzzy. That's amazing. A few months before my change of heart, his lawyer told him, look, you got to change your path here. You know what I mean? Don't fuck around. But he did. He started doing legitimate shit. He became what he describes as Britain's #1 legitimate debt collector.
Oh.
So, I mean, if it's all the same, if whether you're doing it for drugs or for some fucking finance company, they still send the same guys out. Like back in the day, Hunter Thompson in the Hells Angels book said like a bunch of the Hells Angels were debt collectors. That's what they did.
Fascinating.
They'd go knock on somebody's door, scare the shit out of them, and they'd cough up money for a fucking washer dryer that they still owe on from some appliance store. That's what they did.
Give me $40. I'll see you next month.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll see you then, motherfucker. Have it ready. He said that he had a security company that became very successful, had a bunch of lucrative contracts to provide guards to building sites and commercial premises all over the UK. He said at its height, the business employed ex-bodyguards for the Saudi royal family, ex-servicemen, ex-cops, and all this type of shit. He said he was doing wonderfully.
Yeah.
But he also is living a double life, collecting drug money and doing all of that.
Yeah.
I guess one of the drug dealers initiated a war against his security business, stealing from places they were protecting. So if they were protecting somewhere, they targeted on purpose to fuck him. Eventually, there was a 30,000-pound contract on his life, from the way he puts it. But he said that he ends up talking to the guy and working it all out somehow. I don't know how that works.
Diplomacy.
So diplomacy, yeah. He's a politician, this guy.
Yeah.
He tries to go straight after that, and he switches to property development in the mid-2000s.
Okay.
And, real estate he's doing, and he's also playing the stock market.
What?
That's very nice. At this time, he said, at my leisure, this is about 2007, I still do debt recoveries, arbitration, and act as a security consultant. I work when I feel like it. On an average, I earn £250 an hour, more on a good day. Sometimes I can earn up to £5,000 for a day's work or a half day's work. And yes, the tax man's getting him. I ain't going to make the mistake of stealing his money, the government's money.
Yeah.
So, in other words, he's doing great. He said, I finally reached the point in my life where I was happy and contented. I was rich, but no longer had anything to do with the underworld. The devil was still inside me, but I had evolved into a totally different person. I finally had my demons under control.
Yeah.
I'm good now, says the devil. I'm good. He ends up now calling himself the fighting preacher.
Oh, okay.
Not the devil, not the warrior.
God. Yeah.
Now he's found God, and he heads up an anti-gun group called the Peace Program.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Doing all sorts of shit. An anti-gun campaigner and all this type of shit. 2013, he's due to perform on an MMA show, actually. Supposed to get into that. We're going to have the devil in here, all ready to go for it. And then he's arrested, and we'll talk about why. So they yank him right off the bill. And he's the guy who runs the MMA thing said he has been training well in the gym and claimed he would bring a lot of fans with him. But to be honest, he's not sold anything like the amount of tickets we would have expected.
We hope for bigger.
He's like a comic on a shit show going, no, seriously, book me. I'll bring a ton of people. And then 3 people show up. And you're like, thanks a lot. So, he apparently, the drama started, according to this article, at about 1:15 p.m. when officers were called to the Il Palazzo office complex on Water Street. And they were told that a gun had been pulled during a meeting between a group of men. Uh-oh. One of the men suffered a head injury and was taken to the hospital for treatment. Now, when the police believed the man involved in this was inside the Hilton, the area around the hotel in Liverpool was then cordoned off, and they had a giant standoff. Then, though, they realized that wasn't where the guy was, so they switched it to the waterfront, where witnesses reported he's arrested. He's in a suit. Yeah. Suit and tie in a full police showdown, cordoned off and everything, being taken away by officers there. They put him in the back of a van and all this type of shit. They then taped off a section of the river behind the museum and recovered a gun from the water.
Oh, he threw it.
One man said, I came around the corner and people were there watching. They had a guy on the floor in a gray suit with a bald head, and they were barking out all sorts of orders. There was 5 or 6 police with their guns out. He added, they taped off the walk and had people looking around to see something in the water. I asked a woman if it was real or if it was training. The woman said it was fucking real, it looks like.
Yeah.
Then they said the police helicopter was here, and the next thing I know, there was a couple of police cars screaming down here. There were quite a lot of people. So they gather up everything. They also, 2 other men were arrested on suspicion of possession of a firearm. They said that they'd been taken to police stations, firearm recovered, blah, blah, blah. Now, what he tells these people is, this is what he tells the journalist, Stephen French, because of the pressure of everything, I became undone and became crazy, so I went OG, original gangster.
Yeah.
He had to explain it to them.
Yeah.
He said
he said original gangster?
Yeah, he said original gangster. It was a confrontation with a guy named Paul Smith at a luxury serviced office where their debt collection business was based. And the lawyer claimed that the guy that, Jesus Christ, he claims that he pulled the weapon on this man because he was in fear of his life.
Okay.
He's the devil, and he's a world kickboxing champion.
Right.
Who does he need a gun for if they don't have a gun? You know what I mean?
Also, he's the one that's been screaming about anti-guns.
That's the other thing. Well, then he said, so I went OG, original gangster. Quote, I bought a machete because I was going to behead this man.
Oh,
he said this in the press. In the press, he said this to people.
Holy hell.
I had enough. I was going to murder him, and I was going to go to prison happy. Cut his head off, take it to the police, and say, lock me up. Walk up to them with the head. Lock me up. My mind wasn't thinking straight. So he pulled out, they said, a 90-pound Sig Sauer air pistol. It's one of the replicas. Wow. Air guns. It's not even a real gun. That he bought at a store hours earlier. And the skirmish spilled into the public lobby before this receptionist. And the receptionist said, he said, I'm sorry, this is Frenchie here. He said, I decided I'm going to kill him and buy a chopper, a machete. Then I buy an air pistol. Now, if I get a real gun, I'd know I'd shoot him and kill him. So I decided I was going to pistol whip this man who was causing me the problems. Yeah. He said, I went to his place of work and I pulled the gun. He thinks it's a real gun. Then I tell him, you're an idiot. It's not even real.
I see a replica written down the side?
Come on. I whack him and he runs out of the place. My blood is up, so I chase him out of the office. Inside the office, no closed-circuit television. I have chased him outside the office, and there is closed-circuit television. I'm on camera. I did one bad thing, one really bad thing. There was a young girl on reception, and I go over to her and I frighten her to get the closed-circuit television to give me the evidence. But unfortunately for me, it was recorded at a separate location. Then I knew I was going to prison. And
it was so snatch.
He is going to prison because the judge tells him, you, sir, may fuck off 3 years in prison for this.
Oh, my.
Yes. They also recovered the machete from the water as well. So it wasn't even a robbery. He was just mad at the guy. So, they said that the judge said there's no doubt that in his day, French was a serious criminal. But I think like most criminals, there comes a point where they want to go straight. This is his lawyer, I'm sorry. He's getting old. Where do old gunslingers go when they retire? What do they do when you live in a world when criminals in their 20s can easily get a hold of a gun? They don't care who Stephen French is. They will pull the trigger and equalize the threat. There are two problems French has faced. One, will other people let you go straight? And two, can you live with the status and power that being a gangster gives you? I think French has struggled with those demons. Okay. He says, though, he'd like to issue an apology, French would, to the whole of Merseyside, Merseyside, or whatever the fuck it is. He said he feels terrible. Quote, I pistol whipped a punk and I believe I saved my life. I apologize, but, I'm not sorry if that's what you're getting at. For it. Yeah, thank God for that. So that's what he keeps saying. He said in 2005, too, he talks about how to be safe around violence. It's called Coast to Safety. COAST, Coast. Yeah, he says C, concentration.
Of course, yeah.
Concentrate on your environment. O, observation. Use your eyes. Scan the environment. Those are the same thing. Yeah. Those are the same thing. Yeah. A, anticipation. This comes with experience. If you're in a club and a drunk stumbles into you once and blames you, and it happens again, and he again blames you and becomes even more aggressive, if you're there for the third time when he sticks a pint pot in your face, you failed to anticipate the danger.
Right.
Yeah.
S, strike first.
S, speed.
Damn it.
If after the drunk fell on you the first time, you did not move speedily out of his vicinity, the situation remained live with potential for violence. There's nothing cowardly in speedily walking away from a potentially high-risk incident because you have anticipated its development.
Yes.
And T,
transportation.
Timing.
Damn it.
We'll find it. We'll make our own. Timing, this is a combination of anticipation and speed.
Yeah.
You have anticipated after the first drunken stumble and round of abuse. We get it by now. So October 2015, he's out of jail. And he shows up in the director box, which is like the owner's box at a soccer game.
Yeah.
For Liverpool here, okay? At Anfield, he shows up. He's sitting next to like players, like ex-players and like dignitaries and important people. And social media goes crazy because they're like, that guy's a gangster.
You got a criminal up there.
The fuck are you doing? He says, quote, from the sweat box to director box in 9 months, only the Frenchman can do shit like that. That's what he says.
He's not even French.
He later added, I attend the match when I want and nobody will stop me.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm not going to stand in his way.
I mean, not me. You are the devil, so, I mean, that's fine. He sat along several senior Liverpool players at the game and praised the players who he met. So he did very well. In 2015, he's handed an extra 10 months in jail for, quote, perverting the course of his parole and justice. So
I love that.
He's having problems. He fucking diddled it good. He was like, fuck it, I'm stuffing another finger in there. And they were like, that's too many. It's too much. You're making it uncomfortable. 10 months.
In the sweat box for you.
Sorry. 2016, he's out and he's making a film.
Yeah.
He does want an Academy Award.
Which
That's
one?
why I laughed when he said that.
Which film is he making?
It's supposed to be called Frenchie, the Urban Legend.
Yeah.
It's called fucking The Town Snatches, your fucking Back to the Future, Goodfellas, Back to School, fucking Shaft. Goddamn.
Yeah, he did. And everybody was a movie star, too. His
Shaft,
mom was
the
a movie
Wire.
star.
The other guy's a movie star. Frenchie, the Urban Legend.
Frenchie, the bullshit artist.
He bragged about receiving help from Samuel L. Jackson for this film.
I don't believe him.
Visiting the Cannes Film Festival, and in an interview conducted just days before he's recalled to prison, he says, quote, I have a production company. The Americans have spoke to me. They want to buy the rights to the film. I don't want to sell the rights to the film. I want an association with deal. I've got my own production company, and if they want to make a movie on me, they've got to allow me to do a production with them. If they don't do that, I'm going to do an independent film. We're very close now. We've got the scripts. We went to Cannes Film Festival. The film is going to be called Frenchie, the Urban Legend. They offered him 200,000 euros. He said no. He said, I refused because I need 30 million pounds to affect social change that I want to affect. So if I can't make 30 million, what's the point?
He wants 30 million for his pocket?
Apparently so.
You've
Eventually
never been
he wants
in a
to
movie,
make that.
man. Tom Cruise commands that money.
He's going to do it. He's like, if I get all the back end and I put it in the theaters and it's a huge hit, I can do this. So he said, well, if you let...
Yeah, sorry.
No. I was going to say, if you let him interject, he'll say, quote, people say to me, who the fuck do you think you are? Which is exactly, that's what I was trying to get to. Who am I? I'm a very, very confident man. I have great self-belief. I have great self-belief I can leap over my house, but that doesn't mean I can fucking do it. That's ridiculous. He then bragged that he would become the next Suge Knight, which is not a good thing.
Don't do that.
Not a good thing. Bad. We've done an episode on him. So he is the next Suge Knight because we've done it. You followed in his footsteps in one way. You got a crime and sports episode anyway. So
done.
He then said that his latest venture, Ultimate Enterprises, he said, quote, we are involved in education, training, sport, and music. I've got some rappers.
Oh, no.
I'm going to be like Suge Knight, but I'm not going to exploit my rappers. I'm not going to kill them or do anything bad to them. Well, that's pretty good. He said that once he got put back in jail, he said, January, this is my year. You will see me on the TV quite a lot. And he wasn't wrong.
Slam.
Because in January 2016, he's arrested. So he was on TV more. He's arrested in relation to a domestic assault.
Oh.
He's really fallen down here.
Very Suge Knight of you.
Yeah, he's on the right path. Wait, it gets worse, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he attacked a business associate with a fucking machete and a fake gun. That's very Suge Knight.
Yeah.
They're going on here. He's arrested. He's put in jail because it's a breach of his parole, obviously, to be arrested for all this type of shit. July 28th, 2016, he's supposed to appear in court as he's arrested again after he's let out for the initial, this time for rape.
Oh my.
Rape and threatening to kill a man is what he's arrested for.
Jesus.
Different people, the rape and the threatening to kill.
Thank goodness. Well,
yeah.
Maybe not, thank goodness.
Yeah. He pleads not guilty. He denies assaulting the woman by beating her on 2 separate occasions and a charge of making threats to kill a man as well. His lawyer calls it a malicious allegation. He says it's false and has been supported and engineered by prosecutors and police. Okay. Well, all charges are supported, engineered by prosecutors and police. That's the definition of them. But he's saying that it's personal. August 8th, he's in prison. August 8th, 2016, he's in jail awaiting trial for rape because he's, all this shit. He is attacked by being smashed in the head by a fellow inmate wielding a snooker ball in a sock.
They found a snooker ball.
I knew it was heavy. I knew it was like a croquet ball or something. He was apparently in church. He was in chapel, kneeling and praying when he is attacked from behind with it. Hit in the head while he's kneeling and praying. The source of this, the information, said he was in a chapel. He was getting blessed with his head bowed. They were fucking blessing him. Someone came up behind him with a snooker ball and a sock and hit him with that thing from behind. The attacker then ran straight into the screws and cowered behind them. He's in the protection wing now.
Oh, boy.
He ran to the guards and was like, I didn't kill him. Fuck, protect me. He received medical help, but did not need hospital treatment. Frenchie here, old Steven, the devil. You've now pissed the devil off.
A 60-year-old devil.
Yep. He said the source said, thankfully it didn't fully impact with his head. It was a lucky escape. So they said they wouldn't comment, but they did say that the level of violence in our prisons is unacceptable. Safety in our prisons is fundamental for the proper functioning of our justice system and the vital part of our reform plans. Yada, yada, yada. So, October 2016 is the rape trial. He said he's mad. He said, this is all lies, and because of these lies are why I was attacked in a prison church, hit in the head with a fucking snooker ball. I missed the birth of my granddaughter and my daughter.
Yeah.
You had granddaughter and daughter at the same time, hopefully with different people.
Yes.
Hopefully that's not the same girl. He said, I am many things, but I'm not a rapist or a woman beater. I forgive all those who bear false witness and testimony against me, and I look forward to meeting my new daughter and granddaughter, but not in a prison visiting room. I remain unbreakable. Love, light, and hope.
All right, Jimmy Schmidt.
Wow. Yeah, he is found not guilty of rape.
Wow.
Prosecutors dropped the charges he had branded malicious after that. He does actually, though. He is convicted of something here. He's convicted of making threats to kill a man here. They offered no evidence on the rape and assault charges and accepted a guilty plea of making threats to kill. So they said that she was undermined. The prosecutor said that a complaint made by French was investigated and her response was unsatisfactory, the accuser. Right. He said that, together with messages she sent to French, undermined her police interview. This is the prosecutor. She, in quite graphic terms, gives a contrary account to that put forward in her interview. The Crown have taken that decision, both for the public interest and any evidential reasons, not to proceed with trial. So, yeah. He ends up doing that. He pleads guilty. He pleads guilty and then says vi coctus, which is a Latin term meaning under constraint. So he adds that in there. They said that the woman described French as domineering and overheard an argument between. Apparently, this is another incident here. There was a woman and her kid, and apparently. This kid heard the woman's son heard what sounded like spitting, his mom spitting at French, and then he found her lying on the floor in pain. So they think that, they think he attacked her, but then they said he didn't. He ends up basically saying to this young man, if you get me arrested, I'm going to kill everyone in your family.
Okay.
That's why he's in prison. So that's how it works. The judge said that there is no suggestion you were responsible for violence at this point, and this was not necessarily an argument of your making. But it does seem to be the case that there is a side of you that can, on occasions, flare up, and that's what happened. The judge said that, you said you're going to kill everyone in his family, and he said, I dare say you don't have to. When you make a threat, it's effective, the judge said.
Sure.
And the French interrupted and said, that's not what I said, Your Honor. And the judge said, that's the offense you have admitted. You, sir, may fuck off. 16 weeks in prison. Not years, not months. Weeks.
4 months.
And a 5-year restraining order. So there's that. Yeah. And there was that. August 2017, he's arguing with another gangster on social media.
Why would you?
A guy named Sam Walker and he are fighting on Facebook. Which you could tell they're a little older if they're fighting on Facebook.
Yeah.
So they're fighting on Facebook because this is amazing. Apparently, the Walker guy took to Facebook after a newspaper revealed police are investigating claims that French may have been assaulted by Jimmy Savile.
Oh, what?
The pedophile when he was a kid, when he was a child, because he was poor and then Savile used to come and molest poor kids. So, apparently, they're fighting each other and they're calling each other liars, and it's the whole deal.
He wasn't. He wasn't assaulted.
This is what Walker says, quote, he, meaning French, says if the authorities would have believed him 40 years ago, then hundreds of victims would have been saved. Well, if you was that concerned about the victims, then why didn't you expose him when you wrote your book? Saville was still alive then. That sparked a bunch of messages back and forth. He called French a disgrace. French shot back at him. He posted an image of French in a Teletubbies costume. It was a lot. Walker encouraged people to share this. He got a lot of attention out of this. It got 1,500 views, a bunch of likes, and yeah. So French posted a series of replies, including 2 recordings of his own. He's got like 9,000 views on those. So people are following this back and forth here. At one point, French dismisses this Walker guy's allegations as lies and calls him the seagull stalker. Don't know what the fuck that means. French wrote why he's doing this. My regular friends and followers, you're going to have to excuse me, but I have to answer this man. I'm sorry if you were bored by all of this, but this guy has lost his mind, so I must address him on my page. People are worried I'm not okay, so judge for yourself. So they went back and forth for like a long time. They're going back and forth. I haven't taken out the garbage. I've exposed the rubbish. Sam the Seagull Stalker Walker. Lie after lie, he can't stop, so I am going to stop. Therefore, no more talk. Holy shit. This is how he describes himself. He's the fighting preacher, and he maintains only God can judge me.
Oh, boy.
He says, I was born into difficult circumstances, born into shit, crawled through shit, had to swim through shit, and I had to wash the shit off me through the blood of Christ. I'm going to heaven. I know I'm going to heaven. Can't get enough of this guy? Well,
he's exhausting.
You can follow him. I don't know if this is him or not, and I doubt it is actually, but it's probably somebody fucking doing his thing. But there's a guy named @BigBadFrenchie with a Y. Says it's Stephen French, has his picture up there, says he's from Toxteth, all that kind of shit here. And it says, I'm the devil. What are you going to do about it? Gave up my taxing empire to hand in statements. Oh, parody. It says under the thing. Okay, it is a parody. Okay, so there you go. It's a parody account of his. So, I don't know. Follow that. Watch him argue with people on Facebook. I'm sure he'll get arrested again eventually. Just wait for it.
He's got to, yeah.
Something will happen. But either way, that is Stephen French. A weird one.
He's a lot.
An English kickboxer and a whole shitload of crime there. He's the fucking devil. I mean,
he should have just kickboxed only. He was doing great.
Wouldn't that have been so much easier?
Oh, my God.
This is getting ridiculous. So anyway, he didn't, though. He did this. And if you like that show, tell the world about it. Get on whatever app you're on, whatever platform, and give us 5 stars. It really does help the show a lot.
It does, yeah.
Helps drive us up the charts. So thank you for doing that. And thank you. Follow us on social media @Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, or @Smalltown Murder on Instagram. We put all our crime and sports stuff up there, too. You can go to shutupandgivememurder.com.
Yeah, you can.
Tons of merchandise. We got tickets to live shows. August 12th and 13th. August 12th, we are in San Francisco at Cobb's Comedy Club. We have 2 shows that night. They're different shows, so you can come to both, have a good time. The next night, we're in Sacramento. Sold out show there at the moment. Keep checking back for tickets, though, because people can return them. So that's what happened. Keep checking back. Tickets will open up eventually, a couple of them here and there. And there is still a few tickets left for Crime and Sports. So get your tickets to that. And then, of course, September the 10th at the Pabst in Milwaukee, Small Town Murder. Come see us. Make it our biggest show ever.
It's going to be great.
Let us brag about how wonderful Milwaukee is all over the world. So thank you for doing that. Come see us at all those shows. Patreon. Oh, boy. Patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get it all, everybody. You get, first of all, there's a huge back catalog. 100-something episodes on there of bonus stuff that you're going to get. For $5 or above, you're going to get crime and sports bonus episodes. You're also going to get Small Town Murder bonus episodes. You're going to get all of them. And trust me, they all cross over. They're all pretty interesting to everybody. You're going to get every other week, you're going to get 2 new episodes without fail. This week, what you're going to get is, for Crime and Sports, we are going to talk about Michael Jordan's scandals, all of his scandals, because no one's been squeaky cleaner than him in the media.
Yeah.
I mean, no one.
Yeah.
That guy wore a Hitler mustache on television and no one said a fucking word. Like, he could still sell underwear wearing a Hitler mustache. That says that he's bulletproof. Well, we'll talk a little bit. There's a little bit of the gambling, a little bit of the conspiracy theory about his dad, a little bit of the quitting basketball, and then a whole lot of his personal life. affairs, paternity suits, and one of the fucking a divorce settlement that could choke an elephant. It's wild. We'll get into all of that. And then we will talk about for Small Town Murder. Haven't done this in over a year, and it's so much fun. Small Town Reviews.
Yes.
Reviews of small towns, people's petty grievances that they have that have nothing to do with really the town, but little things that piss them off. And then we'll find like a couple like reviews of maybe some businesses in those towns. We'll make it fun, goddammit. That is all at patreon.com/crime and sports. And you're going to get a shout out here in a second. You can also get that shout out very easily by going to PayPal using our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com, to make a donation. That said, Jimmy, let me hear the names of the greatest fucking people in the world who want to hear all the good stuff. Hit me with them now.
This week's executive producers are Jordan Bennett, Liz Vasquez, Michelle Hansen, Britton Edwards, Stuart Allen, Catherine Shelley, Siobhan Mann, and Brandon Earl. Thank you guys from the bottom of these cold black hearts. You're amazing. Other producers this week are Rob Wilson. Happy birthday. Dana Stewart in New Orleans. Peyton Edwards. No, that's Meadows. I've said her name a million times. Sorry, Peyton.
You fucked it all up, Jimmy. Even if you donate all the time, Jimmy will still mess your name up. Even if he's met you in person.
The family Earp had a baby. Welcome to the shit show, Amber Melody. Nicole and Beaver, Emil Goldager, Nicole Meyer, Sholo. What is this? Sky Lolo and the Haiti Kid.
Yeah, those are tag team Little People wrestlers from the 70s and 80s. Oh yeah, Sky Lolo is his name.
Happy hour in Nacogdoches, Texas. Corporal Carl Kirshner is coming to Milwaukee. Can't wait to see you, Carl.
There you go.
Looking forward to it.
Wear the Green Beret outfit.
Yeah, Reverend Alexander Jacobson, Rabbi Shmulovich, and Shitta Perlman, Janice Hill.
All the people are coming out today.
Frank, the South African birdwasher, Michaela Bruce, Margaret MacArthur, Kevin Coffey. Oh, he drove through El Paso and thought of us, the poor bastard.
Poor guy.
Your mom's chest hair, and Steve Schnell. And we miss Steve in Pittsburgh, or Philly. God damn it. I'm pretty upset
we love
about
him
it.
Too. Yeah, that sucks,
great.
Man.
Carolyn Averstead, Barbara Lang, Jennifer Stump, K with no last name, Tim Schroeder, Daniel Alexander, Connie Cup, Josh M., Sarah Bader, Nick with no last name, Martin A. Miller, Denara with no last name, Denara, Shelby Drake, Jennifer with no last name, Kyle LaChapelle, Renee Pollard, Taylor Johnson, Susan Chan, Eminem, Jen Gerber, Chloe Celine Webster, Sam Denton, Alex with no last name, Barbara De Leon, Joanne Brown, Anthony Blessington, John Wirtz, Cameron Borg, Braxton Jones, Emily Zutterman, Chelsea Anderson, Christian with no last name, Ollie Leip, I think, Leip. I don't know. Mark Otto, Danielle Adams, Margaret Shank. Almost called her a skank. I'm sorry, Margaret. Amanda Romero, Caitlin Price, 1978, Kathy Ann, Christine. No, that's Christy Mize. George with no last name. Shane Light, Monica with no last name. MCF, Karen Grover, Doyle Hudson, Linda Wassaloo. All right. Robert Pennell, Tasha Wood, Whitney Ellis, Brandy Archer, Cork with no last name, Hannah Kruger, Sean Rodkey, Carolyn Crampton, Ryan Hesse, Mike Rogeman, Nicholas Benning,
Courtney, me what it is? It's in front of you, goddammit.
I think you get it. Courtney Liparelli, Christopher Daly, Bud Buds, Ed Gaines' mom, Nicholas Willman, Jacob, Reichers, Sheila Wigton, Laura Johnson, Dory with no last name, Stephen Olson, Bill with no last name, Catherine Metzger, Catherine Rachel, Christina Black, nope, that's Katrina Black, Kelly Carbell, Austin Bacasa, Greg Pudwell, that's a tough name, Greg, Sarah Patrick, Christy G, Proto Mankini, oh, boy. Christopher Hemaballs. I don't know what that is.
Jimmy, you got this one.
Holly with no last name. Mary with no last name. Fraser Davies. Amanda McKenzie. Gregory Stosich. Carrie Knight. Markle. No, that's Markle, all right. Ryder. It's probably Mark Ryder, and I put it. The L's right next to the K. That's what it is. It's Mark Ryder. God damn it. Tyler Vale.
Typing.
Valley. Curtis Lind. Brianne Young. Melissa with no last name. Corey James. Dane Brummett. Zoe Lewis, Callie Inman, Kyle Azcueta, Mason K.
Couple more shots, you would have had that, I think. You were close.
Martin Summers, Leonie Turner, J.S., Richie Riggins, Ethan Johnson, Jade Aaron, Amber Anderson, Joe Licciardello, whatever it is. Josh Nutt, PJ Hartwig, Fish Lips with no last name. John Shepard, Hoke Luther Jackson, Brendan Moran, Evan Dixon, Lexi Vergara, David Barbaris, Kendall Stanley, Nadia Garcia, William Allen, Megan Koenigs, Darren Henricks, Jess Stevenson, that's Kirk Stevens, Mike Ninmo, Rosanna Bonjarimanino, Danny D. Bear, Sean McGuire, Eric Stop. It was not.
You're
Rebecca
shaking your head
Bailey,
like, no.
Jeff and Nancy Guest, no name at all. I don't know who that is. They had an email address that I'm not going to read. Gwendolyn Lloyd, fair. Kevin Michael, I think, Tracy Laird, Tyler Anson, Don Belknap, Kara Glidewell. That's a tough one also, Kara. Maggie Dutt, Valerie Valenta. Terry Wade, Eden Centeno, Cindy Harris, Hunter Curley, I think, John Castleman, Abby Banks, Alex Warnick, Josh with no last name, Luke Thompson, Lindsay with no last name, Angelique Warner, Adam Cholsky, Jen Rodriguez, Lindsay Dowell, Jory Steinkraus, I believe, Eric Fortney, Chris McGinnis, Robert B., Matt Williams, probably not, Ryan Mowry, Laura Bailey, Jackie Gorski, Jessica Belisai, that's what that is, Tammy Hedrick, Jay Moore, probably not that one, Allie Montgomery.
Come on. They're coming out of the woodworks.
The guy's dating the bus. What's her name? The lady that owns the lake?
Jeannie Bus.
He's dating her. That's insane.
Jesus Christ.
Maybe he is. That's why he's contributing to us. He has the money to do it. Allie Montgomery.
Money.
Jimmy's future ex-wife. Annie, you don't want that. Connie
Kareem
Hamilton.
Abdul-Jabbar made me this money. Long time ago. Sorry.
Doodle Sin, Susan O'Neill, Lori Ferguson, Zachary Traxler, Ryan Wetzel, Kraulis, Borden, Tana Izzelli, Jesus, Stephen Spencer Merritt, Mitchell Gildea. Yeah, he's on Twitter and shit, too. He's a terrific guy. Austin Pritchard, also Matt Pritchard, Ciaran Byrne, Lucius Part 1, Princess Mel Delia, Deja, Brianna Anderson, Andrew Chavez, Cereza Ford, Amanda Howell, Hannah Weiss, Angie with no last name, Brandon Morris, Jason Brinkman, Hollywood Johnson, Jeremiah Williams, Chris James, Terry Woods, Chris Keller, Colin Ward, Crystal Bussey, Michelle Young, Sarah McMurdo, whoa boy, Jeremy with no last name, Terrell Burris, Sarah Potts, Justin Dibble, Rob's kid probably, Angelo Gilly, yeah, Calvin Cotton, Walter Bentley, Nicole with no last name, Ryan Zazeski, Paige Cameron, Gene Schleier, Stormy Moore, Andrew Taylor, Judith Godwin, Sarah Steiger, John Dummer, shit, so am I, Todd Shepard, Ryan Mountain, Hunter Devine, Jacob Nason, Connie Harlan, Shelby Burt, Kendall Johnson, Diana Allen, and all of our patrons. You guys are unbelievable.
Thank you so much, everybody, for all that you do for us. We appreciate you. Hope you enjoy your shout-outs and your bonus episodes especially. Thank you so goddamn much for all that you do for us. If you'd like to find us further on social media, very easy to do that. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com. There's links to everything right there. You can find us on social media, or you can just Google Crime and Sports Podcast hosts. We're the only fucking ones, or we better be. Either way. That said, thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoyed a weird episode. Beware the devil, everybody. Live. Alert. Be alert. Remember Coast, everybody. COASD. And live from the Crime and Sports Studios. We will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.